Chapter 2436. Of the 5 immortal city lords, 4 were gone. Now, only the city lord of Langfeng City, Song Xian, was left. Who would have thought that young Master Lan Tian and the others, who were still in the position of city lord with great power and authority, would fall off the altar in the blink of an eye and die on the spot? This scene had a huge impact on everyone present. Those perfected immortal experts, who were originally high and mighty and needed their respect and flattery, who even had the chance to compete for the perfected immortal list, were now like weak mortals under the fist of Araki Takashi from the demon domain. Even with the pure yang spiritual treasure of the 9th tribulation, it was only 3 punches. If the city lords were like this, if Araki Takashi from the demon domain wanted to deal with them, they would be crushed to death with just a move of his finger. Although there were thousands of perfected immortal experts in the main hall, at this time, they were no longer in the mood to fight. Everyone looked at the purple-robed figure in midair, their eyes filled with endless fear, as if they had seen a ghost. Oh my God, so those rumors are all true. Going through the 10th tribulation, annihilating the million-strong demon army, killing the supreme true demon, all the rumors about Araki Takashi are true. Many perfected immortals seemed to have woken up from a dream. Although they did not see with their own eyes what had happened in the demon domain 1,000 years ago, now that they had seen Wu Dao's methods, they no longer doubted the rumors that they had once scoffed at. Finally, some perfected immortals could not bear the pressure and fled out of the main hall. In such a situation, as long as one person escaped, it would cause great panic and cause more perfected immortal experts to flee. The main hall was a mess. Even if perfected immortal experts passed by Lin Lei and his sister, no one attacked them. No one dared to go in the direction of Momo. Song Xian looked at this scene and tried to suppress the fear in his heart. He could not help but shout, "Everyone, don't panic, listen to my orders." In the chaos, no one paid attention to him. Or rather, even if someone heard Song Xian's shout, they turned a deaf ear and pretended not to know. Song Xian looked at Wu Dao's main body not far away and felt an indescribable pressure that made it hard for him to breathe. Of the 5 immortal city lords, he was the only one left. Song Xian understood that Araki Takashi from the infernal domain had done it on purpose. Because he was the one who had captured Momo, Araki Takashi wanted him to be the last to bear the approaching fear and tremendous pressure. At the same time, Song Xian also knew that he couldn't fight against Wu Dao by himself. This time, if they wanted to fight for a chance of survival, they would have to unite the remaining thousands of true immortals and combine their strength to fight it head-on. Even if they couldn't kill Araki Takashi here, they could at least buy time and wait for reinforcements from the 12 palaces. Under normal circumstances, unless an immortal king arrived, the 12 palaces' palace lords and immortal king powerhouses would not be able to sense him. However, if too many true immortals died here, the commotion would be too great and the immortal king would definitely notice. As long as an immortal king arrived, he would be able to save his life. Everyone stop. Song Xian took a deep breath and shouted, "Those who disobey will be punished for the crime of treason and killed without mercy." Once this order was given, many true immortals who were fleeing were suppressed and looked at Song Xian. Song Xian shouted, "Everyone listen to my orders. As long as we work together, we will definitely win this battle." That's right. Jiang Xianyu, who had just escaped the threat of the Red Lotus Hellfire and was burned beyond recognition, gnashed his teeth and shouted, "Araki Takashi is alone. If we work together, we will definitely be able to kill him. If we allow this bastard to go on a killing spree in the Jade Firmament immortal domain, we will lose face in the future. Everyone, let's work together and kill him." Under Song Xian's command, the true immortals' blood was rekindled and they shouted. Wu Dao looked at Song Xian with a mocking look in his eyes under the silver mask. "Kill him." Song Xian pointed at Wu Dao and roared. In an instant, thousands of true immortals attacked. Countless psychic magic treasures broke through the air and interweaved into an impenetrable net in midair. Countless mystiques seemed to converge into a raging tide that swept over with great momentum. Wu Dao stood motionless in midair. He did not even have the intention to dodge. "He's still not leaving?" Lin Lei's eyes widened. What kind of true immortal expert could withstand such an attack? Wu Dao's eyes suddenly turned black. If one looked closely, they would be able to tell that they were two balls of black flames that filled his entire pupils. Wu Dao's aura changed drastically, and it was filled with a sinister and terrifying aura. Before these mystiques could land on Wu Dao's body, black flames appeared and burned. A ball of black flames also appeared under Wu Dao's feet. It quickly spread in all directions and formed a sea of black flames. When the black flames descended, the temperature in the hall did not rise at all. Instead, it dropped rapidly. Many cultivators did not even have time to react before they were engulfed in the sea of flames. Those cultivators shrieked tragically as their features contorted and they struggled. It was as though they were experiencing unimaginable pain. Some of the cultivators tore at their flesh in a frenzy. However, the pain they felt was not even 1,000th of the pain brought to them by the black flames. It was an indescribable pain. Many true immortals would rather die and have their souls destroyed, never to be able to rise again, than endure the burning of such flames. The black flames were not scorching. Instead, they were sinister and could cause one to wish for death. Lin Lei and his sister looked at the tragic state of the true immortal experts in the sea of black flames and felt chills run down their spines. What is that? Lin Luo could not help but ask. Lin Lei gulped and said slowly, legend has it that there's a type of black flame in the depths of the Avicii hell that can bring endless pain to living beings. To think that Araki Takashi of the Fiend domain has already mastered that flame. Hellfire was a manifestation of the pain of billions of living beings. In the Avicii hell, the hellfire would never be extinguished and would never stop. In midair, Wu Dao's true body stood in midair. With him as the center, the surrounding black flames enveloped the entire hall, forming a gigantic black fire lotus. No one could escape from the black fire lotus. Of course, there were still some true immortals in the black fire lotus that were not affected by the hellfire. Even so, those true immortals were scared out of their wits and guts. Thousands of true immortals were dragged into the flames by Wu Dao's true body and suppressed. In midair, Wu Dao's true body was in the center of the black fire lotus. His eyes burned with flames and his aura was sinister and terrifying. He was like a god that ruled over hell with torrential fiend flames. Chapter 2437. The look in Lin Lei's eyes as he looked at the figure in the air also gradually changed. At first, when he saw the power of Wu Dao's real body, Lin Lei was not convinced. He even wanted to have a good fight with him one day. But later on, Lin Lei gradually gave up on this idea and developed a kind of admiration for the martial Dao body. Now, looking at the fiery hell in front of him, Lin Lei felt a trace of fear in his heart. Unlike him, Lin Luo, who was next to him, was still a little scared at first. But now Lin Luo's eyes flickered. She seemed to have discovered something and she calmed down. Oh no! Lin Lei thought of something and took out a transfer talisman from his storage bag. He said in a low voice, "Let's go before it's too late." What's wrong? Lin Luo asked instinctively. Lin Lei quickly explained, the destructive power of this hellfire is too terrifying, and the commotion is too great. With so many true immortals dying here, the 12 palaces will definitely sense it. The celestial kings of the Jade Heaven celestial realm will come here at any time. With the power of a celestial king, even if they had a transfer talisman, they might not be able to leave. But what about Su Zimo? Lin Luo looked at Su Zimo instinctively. She was still worried. After all, Su Zimo came from the mortal world, gave her the fretless fruit, and helped her get the 9-orifice Yang restoration elixir. This was a huge favor to her and the Lin family. Why do you care about that brat at this time? Lin Lei did not know the inside story, and he had a bad first impression of Su Zimo. He was annoyed by his sister's ignorance. In the center of the hall, Momo had finished the process of absorbing and refining. Her flesh was full, and her complexion was much better. On the other side, the peach tree of immortality had completely turned into a withered old peach tree. Its branches were bare, and there wasn't even a single leaf, let alone a fruit. When Su Zimo saw Wu Dao release the hellfire, he also realized that the immortal kings of the Jade Heaven Immortal Realm could arrive at any time. Let's leave this place. Without hesitation, Su Zimo prepared to leave with Momo. Momo walked to the side of the peach tree. She reached out and split the tree trunk. Inside the tree trunk, there was a green sapling that was as thick as a finger. Momo did not completely refine the immortality peach tree. Instead, she gave it a chance to live. Momo stepped forward, dug out the sapling and put it into her storage bag. Then, she said to Su Zimo, "Young master, let's go." Su Zimo took out the transmitting jade plate given to him by the patriarch of the academy and crushed it. There was a flash of green light. When the transmitting jade plate broke, a powerful force burst out and tore the void where the two of them were, forming a space vortex. Then, Su Zimo and Momo were sucked into the space vortex and disappeared from the center of the hall. Seeing this, Lin Luo heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Lei also tore the transmitting talisman in his hand and urged, "Okay, he has already left this place. Let's leave quickly." "But what about him?" Lin Luo looked at Wu Dao, who was in midair, and said worriedly, "If the immortal kings arrive, brother, why don't you let him go with us?" Lin Lei struggled for a while, then became determined again. Without saying a word, he dragged Lin Luo into the space vortex and disappeared. In fact, to Lin Lei, Araki Takashi from the demon realm was the savior of his brother and sister. It was because of Araki Takashi's arrival that Song Xian and the others' foolproof plan was completely destroyed. But Lin Lei did not dare to take Araki Takashi away. One of the reasons was that Araki Takashi was from the demon realm. More importantly, after today's battle, Araki Takashi would definitely become the target of the Jade Firmament Immortal Realm. If he brought Araki Takashi back to the Lin family, it would definitely bring war to his family and the Sengoku Kingdom, or even a disaster. He could not bear the consequences. Langfeng City, in the main hall of the City Lord's mansion. "Araki Takashi, you're finished." Song Xian looked at Wu Dao's true body and said viciously. It had to be said that as the number one true immortal of the Jade Firmament Immortal Realm, Song Xian did have some tricks up his sleeve. He had actually withstood the impact of the hellfire without dying. Of course, in order to withstand the hellfire, Song Xian had even used his bloodline phenomenon. Seeing that Su Zimo and Lin Lei had already left, Wu Dao's true body was even more relieved. He had no more worries. He walked towards Song Xian. In his eyes, Song Xian was already a dead man. Song Xian sneered. "With so many true immortals dead here, the immortal king of the Jade Firmament Immortal Realm must have noticed. When the immortal king arrives, you'll pay with your life." "Is that so?" Wu Dao's true body said indifferently. He stepped forward and said, "Hand over your life first." Boom. Wu Dao's true body raised his hand and punched Song Xian's bloodline phenomenon. This bloodline phenomenon had already expended a lot of energy resisting the hellfire. Now that it had taken a punch from Wu Dao's true body, it instantly collapsed. Jade Firmament 6 Artifacts. Song Xian roared angrily. His hands kept changing hand seals. Suddenly, 6 incomparably exquisite jade artifacts flew out from his body. Jade Annulus, Jade Amber, Jade Tablet, Jade Song, Jade Stamp, and Jade Pendant. 9 burn marks flickered on the 6 jade artifacts, emitting jade-colored divine light. 6 pure yang spirit treasures. For a true immortal, it was already rare to have a pure yang spirit treasure. The reason why Song Xian was the most powerful of the lords of the 5 major immortal cities was because he was in control of these 6 pure yang spiritual treasures. These 6 jade artifacts were known as the Jade Firmament 6 artifacts and were extremely famous. Among the Jade Firmament 6 artifacts, one could even condense a powerful killing technique. 6 artifacts to the heavens. Song Xian roared. He knew that this was the final moment of life and death. He didn't want to rely on this technique to suppress Wu Dao's true body. He only hoped that the 6 pure yang spirit treasures and this technique could buy him some time. He even sensed a powerful intent coming from the direction of the 12 palaces. The immortal king of the Jade Firmament Immortal Domain had come out. Using jade as the 6 artifacts to worship the heavens and earth. Using Tsangbai to worship the heavens, Huang Tsong to worship the earth, Qingyue to the east, Scarlet Spear to the south, White Amber to the west, and Xianhuang to the north. Together, the 6 artifacts to worship the heavens. This 6 artifacts to worship the heavens was originally Song Xian's greatest trump card. He planned to use it during the competition for the true immortal ranking to suppress strong opponents. He didn't expect that this killing technique would be used to save his life. The 6 pure yang spirit treasures constantly intertwined around Wu Dao's true body. They spun and danced, completely surrounding him and forming a sealed space. Wu Dao's true body was completely surrounded by the 6 artifacts. Refine them for me. Song Xian's eyes shone brightly. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of essence blood, sprinkling it on the 6 artifacts. Above the 6 artifacts, a layer of blood mist shrouded them. The jade-colored divine light shone brightly and lightning flashed. They wanted to completely refine Wu Dao's true body and sacrifice it to the heavens and earth. Chapter 24:38. Boom! With a loud bang, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. The Jade Heaven's 6 artifacts suffered a terrifying impact and instantly exploded. A huge bronze square cauldron broke through heaven and earth, emitting an ancient and heavy aura as it stood in the air. The descent of this bronze square cauldron caused even the void to distort and tremble. Wu Dao did not plan to tangle with Song Xian. He directly took out the prison-suppressing cauldron and used his supreme divine power to smash the 6 pure yang spiritual treasures away. The prison-suppressing cauldron was a great emperor weapon. When the cauldron was damaged and the 4 saint souls were exhausted, they fell into a deep slumber. This emperor weapon could not unleash any power, but it was incomparably hard and could not be shaken. But now, the cauldron had recovered and the 4 saint souls had also recovered to the peak of the true self-realm. The prison-suppressing cauldron was in the hands of Wu Dao and had undergone the baptism of the 10th stage of heavenly tribulation. Its power was much stronger than the pure yang spiritual treasures. Spiritual treasures could at most survive the 9th stage of heavenly tribulation. But the prison-suppressing cauldron had undergone the 10th stage of heavenly tribulation and had transformed into the only one in the upper world. It was even stronger than the Emperor of Infinity in his lifetime. Wu Dao held the prison-suppressing cauldron and stepped forward, smashing it fiercely towards Song Xian. On the cauldron, the 4 saint souls awakened at the same time and erupted with an earth-shattering roar that shook the heavens and earth. The 4 saint souls were the strongest existences among the 10,000 races. When they appeared at the same time, they emitted a powerful aura. Song Xian was enveloped by the prison-suppressing cauldron. His bloodline was firmly suppressed, and even raising his arm became extremely difficult. Jade Heaven's 6 artifacts. Song Xian roared and mobilized his divine sense again, gathering the 6 pure yang spiritual treasures in front of him to resist the power of the prison-suppressing cauldron. The Jade Heaven's 6 artifacts formed a defensive barrier above Song Xian's head. Song Xian raised his head and his expression changed drastically. His pupils contracted. Tiny cracks had already appeared on the Jade Heaven's 6 artifacts. The Jade Heaven's 6 artifacts had already shattered when they collided with the prison-suppressing cauldron. Boom! The prison-suppressing cauldron descended and smashed onto the Jade Heaven's 6 artifacts again. The Jade Heaven's 6 artifacts exploded in front of Song Xian's eyes, turning into tiny jade stones that flew in all directions. Under this immense force, some of the jade stones even sank into Song Xian's body, creating bloody holes. Song Xian's body was riddled with holes. However, to peak true immortals, this was not fatal. Suddenly, a huge spiritual sense pressure descended, and the void above Langfeng City split open. Who are you? How dare you behave so atrociously in my jade firmament immortal region? A voice filled with anger and majesty rang out. Accompanied by this fierce shout from the crack in the sky, before the figure appeared, a huge hand that covered the sky stretched out and slammed down towards Wu Dao's original body. This was the power of an immortal king. Even the true Wu Dao's body, which had reached the small success stage, couldn't withstand it. Senior, Save me. Song Xian used all his strength and roared, his eyes glowing with a strong desire to live. The immortal king of the 12 palaces had descended. He could survive. Wu Dao's original body stared at Song Xian with a cold gaze and said coldly, "If I, Araki Takashi, want to kill someone, even an immortal king can't save you." Wu Dao's original body controlled the prison suppressing cauldron and slammed it towards the huge hand that was descending from the sky. At the same time, he rushed towards Song Xian and activated his primordial spirit. His hands constantly formed seals, and a huge door appeared in front of him. Black qi lingered around it, eerie and terrifying. This door seemed to be able to devour everything. It was dark inside, like a bottomless abyss. Song Xian's face was pale. He couldn't resist the door's devouring and rushed towards it uncontrollably. This was the Dao technique created by Wu Dao's original body, Hell's Gate. Although this Dao technique didn't have the power of a grotto heaven, it already had a trace of its charm. Song Xian couldn't resist at all. In the blink of an eye, half of his body had fallen into the Hell's Gate. Song Xian still didn't give up. The immortal king of the 12 palaces had arrived. As long as he could withstand this attack, he would definitely be saved. He didn't want to die. Jade Heaven Slash. Song Xian was trapped in the Hell's Gate. Facing Wu Dao's original body, who was close at hand, Song Xian unleashed a fierce primordial spirit mystic technique. A jade-colored brilliance slashed towards the glabella of Wu Dao's original body. Wu Dao's original body didn't dodge and allowed the primordial spirit mystic technique to hit the silver mask. The mask seemed to have been stimulated by something. Suddenly, like the surface of a lake, ripples appeared on its surface. Then, ghostly faces appeared on its surface. Song Xian was already severely injured. Now that he was being corroded by the Avicii demonic qi, the primordial spirit mystic technique's offensive power was limited. It was easily neutralized by the Mara mask. No reaction? Song Xian's eyes widened. They were filled with confusion, resentment. However, he no longer had the chance. The Avicii demonic qi continued to surge, corroding and polluting everything. It transformed into a pair of giant hands that constantly pulled Song Xian's body into the dark abyss. In the blink of an eye, Song Xian was swallowed up by the Hell's Gate. Boom! At this moment, the giant hands collided with the prison's suppressing cauldron, causing a loud explosion. The power of an immortal king was indeed terrifying. The 4 saint souls' power dissipated and they instantly fell into a deep sleep. The prison's suppressing cauldron also flew back. However, the power of the giant hands was not yet exhausted. They grabbed at Wu Dao's true body. Wu Dao's true body caught the prison's suppressing cauldron and hid behind the Hell's Gate. Boom! There was another loud bang. The giant hands slammed onto the Hell's Gate. Countless cracks appeared on the dark and eerie gate, and it collapsed in the blink of an eye. The Hell's Gate was also shattered by the giant hands, and a cold corpse was thrown out. To be precise, it could only be considered a skeleton. Song Xian's flesh and blood had mostly been corroded by the Avicii demonic qi. Only the outline of his body and face could be vaguely recognized. The last immortal city lord had also died tragically on the spot. More importantly, Song Xian was only killed by Wu Dao's true body after the immortal king arrived and attacked. The commotion here had long alarmed the entire Langfeng city. Countless cultivators were shocked and dumbfounded by this scene. A figure had already appeared in the crack in midair. When the immortal king saw the tragic death of Song Xian, he was furious. Wu Dao's true body stood in front of him and killed the immortal city lord. This was also a great provocation to his dignity. "You're courting death." The immortal king roared angrily. The void behind him collapsed. He directly summoned his grotto heaven and attacked again, suppressing Wu Dao's true body. After Wu Dao's true body killed Song Xian, his divine sense moved and gathered the many Dao fruits on the ground together. He activated the prison's suppressing cauldron and slammed it into the void beside him. Boom! The void collapsed, and a spatial crack appeared. Wu Dao's true body looked at the immortal king with a trace of provocation in his eyes. He flashed into the crack. "Where do you think you're going?" Seeing that Wu Dao's true body was about to escape, the immortal king was anxious and directly chased after him. Chapter 2439. At the same time, cracks appeared in other directions of the void, and more than a dozen terrifying existences with powerful auras walked out from them. One of them was Song Xian's master, the seventh palace master. When the cultivators in Langfeng City saw these figures, their expressions changed drastically, and they revealed a look of respect. The celestial kings of the 12 palaces. Normally, it was very difficult for them to even see a single one of these legendary powerhouses. But now, more than a dozen celestial kings had arrived in Langfeng City at the same time. The commotion this time was too big. The seventh palace master looked at the celestial king who was chasing after Wu Dao's original body, and suddenly frowned and shouted, "Fate-born, stop chasing, come back." Although the celestial king called Fate-born heard the voice of the seventh palace master, his heart was burning with anger. He wanted to catch Wu Dao's original body and regain his face, so he was not willing to give up. In the blink of an eye, Fate-born celestial king followed Wu Dao's original body into the void crack and disappeared. Why didn't you let Fate-born chase after him? The third palace master's face was gloomy, and he pointed at the scene below and said coldly, "Look, what did that demon do?" The seventh palace master was expressionless, and he did not say a word. The expressions of the other celestial kings also became extremely ugly. In this battle, the city master's mansion had almost been reduced to ruins. The hall where the blood peach banquet was held was burned to ashes by the hellfire, and more than half of the thousands of true celestial realm powerhouses were buried in it. More and more cultivators gathered here, and when they saw the scene in the city master's mansion, they were shocked and horrified. It was just like hell, and the corpses of many true celestial realm powerhouses were scattered in the ruins, looking miserable and shocking. Because it was the Feast of Peaches, and Song Xian was holding the Blood Peach Banquet, almost all the true celestial realm powerhouses in the Jade Heaven celestial realm had gathered here. But now, in just one battle, the lords of the 5 celestial cities had fallen. More than half of the remaining true celestial realm powerhouses were also dead. Even the true celestial realm powerhouses who were lucky enough to survive were mostly injured and were greatly frightened. In this battle, the true immortal realm of the Jade Heaven immortal realm suffered a great loss. What was certain was that the Jade Heaven celestial region wouldn't have a chance to compete for a spot on the true immortal list in the near future. No one knew how many tens of thousands of years it would take for the Jade Firmament immortal realm to recover. The seventh palace master closed his eyes, unable to calm his mind for a long time. How could this be? It was supposed to be a foolproof plan to deal with the Lin family and the Qingshao warring kingdom. How did it provoke some Araki Takashi from the demon realm? What is this? An immortal king said with a murderous aura, "Desolate marshal of the fiend region came to our Jade Firmament immortal city to start a massacre. He's declaring war on our Jade Firmament immortal region." Not bad. Another immortal king said coldly, "Palace masters, ever since the heaven realm was split into 3 realms, such a thing has never happened. Our Jade Firmament immortal region must fight back. Araki Takashi from the demon realm is too arrogant. Palace masters, let's gather our men and kill our way to the demon realm. Let's kill the Heaven Baron sect founded by Araki Takashi." Several immortal kings suggested. If they didn't do anything, they would become the laughingstock of the heaven realm. The second palace master shook his head slightly and said, "If I'm not wrong, the bronze cauldron that Araki Takashi is controlling may be the Emperor's weapon of the Emperor of Eternity, the prison-suppressing cauldron." The prison-suppressing cauldron. Hearing this name, the immortal king's hearts trembled. No one dared to underestimate the weapon of a great emperor. After a short silence, an immortal king said, "So what if Araki Takashi has a great emperor's weapon? He's just a true immortal. This great emperor's weapon can't be used in his hands." "That's right." The second palace master said, "However, if he has the prison-suppressing cauldron, it's very likely that he has already controlled the hell of eternity. With this kid's cultivation, it's impossible for him to break through the void and leave. There's only one possibility for him to be able to do this, and that is, he used the prison's suppressing cauldron to open a passage to the hell of eternity and return there. The immortal king's expressions changed slightly, as if they had realized something. If Araki Takashi returned to the hell of eternity, then Yuan Sheng also entered the hell of eternity? That should be right. When the immortal kings heard this, they looked at each other and fell silent. They all knew how terrifying the hell of eternity was. With their cultivation, they didn't dare to enter the hell of eternity. Araki Takashi had the prison's suppressing cauldron, so he could naturally be safe and sound in the hell of eternity. But if Yuan Sheng were to fall into the hell of eternity, then, right then, the third palace's master sensed something and took out a message talisman from his storage bag and glanced at it. There was a message from the 12 palaces. There were only 4 words on it. Yuan Sheng died. Araki Takashi. When the immortal kings heard this, their hatred grew. The third palace master couldn't help but say, "So what if this Araki Takashi has the prison's suppressing cauldron? Even if we can't kill him for the time being, we can still rush to the demon domain and wipe out his heaven-barren sect." Another immortal king gritted his teeth and said, "That's right, if we plan carefully, we might be able to set up a trap and kill him in advance. With our methods, as long as we prepare in advance and seal space, even if he has the prison's suppressing cauldron, he won't be able to break through space and escape back to the hell of eternity." The 7th palace master shook his head and sighed. If this Araki Takashi only has 1 prison suppressing cauldron, it's not a big deal. If I'm not wrong, the silver mask on Araki Takashi's face should be the legendary Mask of Mara. Mask of Mara. Emperor Bo Sun's mask. When these 4 words came out, the expressions of the immortal kings changed and they all gasped. Compared to the Emperor of Eternity, Emperor Bo Sun was closer to them and had a greater deterrent effect on them. After all, the Emperor of Eternity was too far away. And Emperor Bo Sun had just been born a while ago. Moreover, he had escaped from the hell of eternity alive and killed several immortal kings. Now, his whereabouts were unknown. Since ancient times, Emperor Bo Sun was the only living being who could escape from the hell of eternity alive. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, Emperor Bo Sun was one of the most powerful emperors in the heaven realm and even the upper realm. And now, no one knew what realm Emperor Bo Sun had cultivated to. No one knew what sort of bloody storm would arise when Imperial Monarch Bo Sun made an appearance once more. After a while, an immortal king could not help but ask, "This child is wearing the Mask of Mara, then his relationship with Emperor Bo Sun." The other immortal kings were silent. The 2nd palace master sighed softly and said, "Now I understand why Araki Takashi was able to establish the heaven-barren sect and rise in a place full of blood and slaughter like the demon domain without encountering any trouble. It turns out that there is..." Chapter 2440. Qing Shao Immortal Domain, Warring States Palace. A middle-aged man sat cross-legged on a bed. His long hair was tied behind his back, revealing a yellow face, as if he had not recovered from a serious illness. A black halberd was erected in front of the bed. The man's face was resolute, his chest was wide, and his figure was tall and straight, as if he was one with the halberd, giving off a vigorous and heroic aura. Not far away, a beautiful woman with a beautiful figure and a worried face was holding a tortoiseshell in one hand, on which there was a flickering light. The beautiful woman's other hand was constantly moving in the void, leaving a trace, as if she was deducing something. After a while, the middle-aged man opened his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Ling Long, if you can't deduce it, you should go to Jade Shao Immortal Domain." The beautiful woman did not say a word. She was concentrating, not daring to be distracted. A fine bead of sweat seeped out from the tip of her nose. It seemed that the deduction this time had consumed a lot of her energy. After a while, the tortoise shell in the beautiful woman's hand suddenly bounced and fell to the ground. The light on it also quickly dimmed. The beautiful woman panted slightly. The worry in her eyes did not lessen. When the middle-aged man saw this, he knew that the result of the deduction was not good. He sighed in his heart and said, "Ling Long, I know that you are most worried about Lei and Luo. Go to Jade Shao Immortal Domain and bring these 2 children back." But the beautiful woman looked hesitant, looking at the middle-aged man, full of worry, and said, "But back then, Because I left Qing Shao and saved the child from Tian Huang, the warring states was almost destroyed. This time, Jade Shao Immortal Domain is obviously coming for you and the warring states. Once I leave here, you and the warring states, the middle-aged man smiled and comforted, don't worry, this is the best place for me. If I can protect the warring states to the end, even if I die here, I will have no regrets. Take the 2 children. If you see the warring states is dead when you come back, don't stay. The warring states is gone. Take the children directly to the demon domain. The middle-aged man stretched out his thick hand and stroked the halberd in front of the bed. There was no sign of retreat or fear in his eyes. Instead, his fighting spirit was high. He said softly, I will accompany every citizen of the warring states and fight to the last moment with it. The halberd seemed to feel the middle-aged man's determination. It buzzed and trembled. The beautiful woman's eyes were red, and she was choked with sobs. She knew that the middle-aged man was saying goodbye to her. Moreover, the 2 of them might be parting ways. The beautiful woman took a deep breath and said, let's wait a little longer. Although the result of my deduction is not good, there seems to be some variables. Variable? The middle-aged man shook his head and smiled bitterly. Since the other party has set up such a trap, what other variables can there be? Those 2 kids can't handle it at all. What's more, with your ability, is there anything you can't deduce? The middle-aged man thought that the beautiful woman was just comforting him. A hint of confusion flashed through the beautiful woman's eyes. She said, I'm not sure either. I can't catch this variable at all. It's fleeting. The existence of this variable can even jump out of my 6th Ren divine lesson. There's such a thing? The middle-aged man was slightly surprised. Right at this moment, the sound of 2 sleeves fluttering through the air sounded out from nearby. There were 2 figures that were speeding over here. Just as the beautiful woman was about to release her divine sense, a burst of shouting came from outside. Father, Mother, we're back. The voice was slightly deep. It was Lin Lei. The middle-aged man in the main hall was the Lord of the Battle Kingdom, Lin Zhan. The beautiful woman was Fairy Ling Long from the lower realm, the current celestial king Ling Long. Lin Zhan and Fairy Ling Long's faces were filled with joy. Lin Zhan even wanted to stand up and welcome the 2 children outside. However, he failed and could only sit back down helplessly. In the blink of an eye, 2 figures rushed in from outside the bedroom. They were the siblings Lin Lei and Lin Luo, who had returned from the Jade Cloud celestial realm. Fairy Ling Long quickly went forward and hugged the 2 of them in her arms. She was so happy that she cried. After experiencing such ups and downs, even as a celestial king, she could not control her emotions. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Lin Zhan let out a long breath and tried his best to calm himself down as he muttered softly. Father, Mother, I'm sorry for making you worry. Seeing Fairy Ling Long crying, Lin Luo felt guilty and said timidly. Fairy Ling Long hurriedly let go of the 2 of them and looked at them from head to toe. Lin Lei seemed to be injured. However, with his physique and bloodline, he would be able to recover after resting for a few days. As for Lin Luo, she was completely unharmed. She had returned in one piece. Although the 2 children were travel-worn, they had returned safely. Fairy Ling Long patted Lin Lei's shoulder and praised him with a smile. Lei, oh, you're really good. You brought your younger sister back safe and sound. Lin Lei looked embarrassed. He seemed to want to explain. On the other side, Lin Zhan suddenly scolded. Luo, oh, you're too insensible. You ran out secretly and left without any news. You made everyone worried. Because Lin Luo had run away from home, Lin Zhan was originally filled with anger. However, now that the 2 children had returned in one piece, the anger in his heart had long disappeared. However, he did not want to show any joy in front of the 2 children. He wanted to use this opportunity to teach Lin Luo a lesson. Father, I know my mistake. Lin Luo came to the bed and knelt in front of Lin Zhan. She lowered her head and said pitifully. Lin Zhan had prepared a lot of words to reprimand his daughter. However, when he saw Lin Luo's pitiful appearance, his heart softened. He coughed softly and said, Don't do it again. Get up. I'm not worried about the 2 of you. It's just that your mother is always thinking about you. Fairy Ling Long replied with a smile. Lin Luo stuck out her tongue and stood up with a smile. She went forward and hugged Lin Zhan's arm. Then she leaned on him affectionately. What exactly happened? Fairy Ling Long looked at Lin Luo and asked, You're usually quite obedient. Why did you suddenly run away from home? You didn't even leave a message for us. Lin Luo seemed to have thought of something. She hurriedly took out 2 items from her storage bag. One was a medicine bottle and the other was a fruit. Father, quickly eat this 9 revolutions yang restoration pill and the fretless fruit. See if they can heal your injuries. Lin Luo placed the immortal medicine and the fretless fruit in front of Lin Zhan. 9 revolutions yang restoration pill. Fretless fruit. When Lin Zhan and Fairy Ling Long heard about these 2 items, they were shocked. This 9 revolutions yang restoration pill is a king-grade immortal pill. Where did you get it? Fairy Ling Long frowned. Before Lin Luo could reply, she said, Even if you had some fortuitous opportunity and obtained the 9 revolutions yang restoration pill from some relic mystic realm, where did you get this fretless fruit? From what I know, after the fretless tree broke, the fretless fruit could only be found in the Avicii Hell. How did you? Chapter 2441. It's Su Zimo. Lin Luo said. Hearing this name, Lin Zhan and Fairy Ling Long looked at each other with strange expressions. The 2 of them naturally knew who Su Zimo was, but they never thought that this matter would be related to Su Zimo. Lin Luo told them everything that had happened in the 3 pure jade book mystic realm. Lin Luo said, If not for Su Zimo's help, I wouldn't have been able to get the 9 transformation yang pill. This worryless fruit was also given to me by him. Fairy Ling Long said, I didn't expect this child to have already entered the Heaven and Earth Academy. His cultivation level is also not bad, and he even has a treasure like the worryless fruit. Lin Zhan also looked relieved. It seems like he has already gained a foothold in the upper world. Oomph. Lin Lei snorted softly and mumbled, I think that person is very normal. He most likely has other motives for helping my sister. Lin Zhan looked at him and said, If you want to say something, say it openly and openly. What's the point of talking behind someone's back? Lin Lei said, Ask Lin Luo yourself. What's her relationship with that kid? Anyway, I feel that that person is not worthy of my sister. Lin Lei and Fairy Ling Long understood what Lin Luo was implying. The 2 of them looked at Lin Luo at the same time. Could it be that their daughter and Su Zimo really have a? Lin Luo was confused. She looked at Lin Lei and asked, Brother, what are you talking about? Taoist Su and I met by chance, and she helped me before. What relationship do we have? Didn't you say that he's your cultivation partner? Lin Lei hurriedly said. Lin Luo rolled her eyes and said helplessly, At that time, Song Xian forced me to marry his younger brother. I just said it casually. My silly brother, did you really take it seriously? Lin Lei's face turned red. He coughed lightly and said, You're not interested in him. That's right. But the way that brat looked at you, there must be something wrong. When Fairy Ling Long heard that, she knew that there was a misunderstanding. But soon, she frowned and suddenly asked, Lu, you said that Song Xian forced you to get married. What's going on? At the mention of this, Lin Lei and Lin Luo looked at each other. In their minds, the image of the silver-masked purple-robed man standing in the sky above Langfeng City appeared at the same time. His demonic flames overflowed into the sky, and he was unparalleled in the world. A trace of fear flashed across their eyes. Lin Luo took a deep breath and described what happened after she and Su Zimo left the clear jade book and went to Langfeng City. When she heard that the 2 were under house arrest, Fairy Ling Long guessed that the other party must be plotting for the Lin family and the Sengoku Kingdom. Since that was the case, the Jade Heaven Immortal region must have planned carefully. Why would they let the 2 children come back? Lin Luo continued. When she talked about how Lin Lei was attacked by Song Xian and was hit by the jade broken palm, Fairy Ling Long's expression turned serious. This situation should be the worst-case scenario that she had deduced. Logically speaking, it was impossible for the 2 of them to escape Langfeng City. But later, something seemed to have happened. Lin Luo suddenly paused and looked at Lin Lei, who was not far away. Lin Lei took a deep breath and said, "At this time, a person came into the main hall and changed the whole situation. This person came from the demon realm, a powerful demon who rose in recent years, the patriarch of the Heaven Baron sect, Araki Takashi." Hearing this, Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong were slightly surprised. Their expressions were a little strange. Lin Zhan had come to the lower domain before, so he naturally knew about Araki Takashi's Tao and imparting martial arts to the people. He also knew that Araki Takashi was Su Zimo's Tao name. Fairy Linglong was also very clear about this matter. Lin Lei saw the strange expressions on Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong's faces and asked subconsciously, "Father, Mother, have you heard of this person? Did he establish the Heaven Baron sect have anything to do with the Heaven Baron continent?" Fairy Linglong replied ambiguously and said, "Continue." Lin Lei then told them about Araki Takashi's battle with the 5 immortal city lords and thousands of perfected immortal experts. Lin Lei said, "It's strange. This Araki Takashi is cruel and ruthless, but every time he attacks, he seems to deliberately avoid my sister and me." Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong looked at each other. The two of them thought to themselves, "Araki Takashi is Su Zimo. He knows your identities, so why would he hurt you?" Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong realized that Araki Takashi's identity seemed to be a secret in the upper domain. And according to Lin Lei's description, Su Zimo and Araki Takashi had no connection at all. The two of them did not expose this matter and kept it a secret. "I didn't expect this Araki Takashi to have grown to such a level." Fairy Linglong sighed emotionally. Lin Zhan also nodded and sighed. When Lin Zhan went to the lower domain and saved the human race, Fairy Linglong had also saved Su Zimo, who was ascending. Back then, the two of them did not expect that the good deed they had done would be repaid in such a way today. This was because Araki Takashi and Lin Lei had returned unscathed, and Lin Zhan had obtained the 9 Revolutions Yang Restoration Pill and the Fretless Fruit. Lin Zhan said, "It's only been a few thousand years. I really can't imagine what kind of cultivation level he will reach in the future." Only Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong knew that Su Zimo had ascended less than 10,000 years ago. Fairy Linglong looked at Lin Lei and smiled. "Lei, you're usually arrogant and look down on the perfected immortals. Now that you've met Araki Takashi, you know the difference between us." Lin Lei was silent for a while before saying, "I'm indeed no match for him. He's the strongest opponent I've met since I started cultivating. However, although his battle prowess is strong, his methods are too cruel. He's not the righteous path. Otherwise, I really want to get to know him. How is he cruel?" Lin Luo suddenly said, "Didn't you realize that those who died in his hands were all perfected immortals who ate the blood peach? Even in the last hellfire, there were many perfected immortals who were not affected by it. I noticed that these perfected immortals did not touch the blood peach." Lin Lei's heart shook and he said, "In that case, those people deserve to die." At that moment, Lin Zhan suddenly asked, "Since the two of you came here, what about Araki Takashi? You left Araki Takashi in Langfeng City?" Lin Lei felt guilty and did not dare to raise his head. "Speak." Lin Zhan's face was filled with anger as he shouted. Lin Lei hurriedly knelt on the ground and explained, "Father, please calm down. I'm just worried. Araki Takashi killed so many people. The Jade Firmament Celestial region will definitely not let him off. If I bring Araki Takashi back, he will bring disaster to our Lin family and the Battle Kingdom." Lin Zhan's anger did not diminish. "So he saved your lives? Is this how you treat your savior?" Chapter 2442. Lin Lei also felt wronged. "Father, Araki Takashi went to the Jade Cloud Celestial Realm because of one of his disciples. It was just a coincidence that he saved us. You're still trying to deny it." Lin Zhan's face darkened. He suddenly reached out and pulled out the halberd in front of his bed. This action shocked Lin Lei and Lin Luo. Even Fairy Linglong was shocked. She quickly stepped in front of Lin Lei and scolded, "Admit your mistake." Even if Araki Takashi didn't come to save you and your sister, you shouldn't have left him there alone. Since I gave you the teleportation jade talisman, you could have brought him back with you. Lin Lei saw that his father was really angry. He was afraid that his father's injuries would be affected because of his anger, so he quickly said, "Father, I know my mistake. Don't be angry." Fairy Ling Long also comforted him. "Don't be anxious. After all, we don't know if Araki Takashi is still alive. There might still be hope." "What hope can there be?" Lin Lei was still angry. He pointed at Lin Lei and said, "He also said that the Jade Cloud Celestial Realm's Celestial King had already sensed it. When the Celestial King arrives, Araki Takashi is just a perfected immortal. How can he survive? Even if Araki Takashi has a treasure like the teleportation jade talisman, with the presence of the Celestial King, he won't have the chance to use it." Everyone fell silent. They knew that Lin Zhan was right. Lin Luo reached out and stroked Lin Zhan's back. She carefully comforted him. "Father, perhaps Araki Takashi is blessed by the heavens and can survive." Fairy Ling Long's heart skipped a beat. "I thought of something. Araki Takashi's appearance should be the variable in my deduction. Even my 6th-9th divine lesson was unable to deduce his existence. There must be something extraordinary about him." With that thought in mind, Fairy Ling Long took out a message talisman from her storage pouch and said in a deep voice, "Go and investigate Araki Takashi's whereabouts in Langfeng City of the Jade Heaven Celestial Realm. Report to me immediately if you find anything." For an immortal empire like the Warring States period, there would always be a group of cultivators who specialized in collecting information from various places. Fairy Ling Long looked at Lin Zhan with some resentment. She sent a voice transmission to Lin Zhan using her divine senses. "Lei, I was just worried about you." In a moment of desperation, he made a mistake. "Why do you have to be so angry?" Lin Zhan snorted coldly and said, "They saved him, but he didn't feel grateful at all. Instead, he ran back alone. If Araki Takashi was buried in Langfeng City, it would be equivalent to Lei or indirectly harming him. If such a huge mistake was made, even if what?" Fairy Ling Long interrupted, "Are you really going to pay with your life by killing Lei? Not to mention that there is still no news of Araki Takashi. Even if Araki Takashi died, it wouldn't be so bad." Lin Zhan was speechless. After a while, Fairy Ling Long sent a voice transmission again. She was a little confused. "I remember that when Su Zimo ascended, he had 2 true bodies. However, one of the true bodies with the Dragon Phoenix bloodline was destroyed by the Cloud Underworld King. Only the creation Qinglian body was spared. What is going on with this Araki Takashi?" Lin Zhan frowned and said, "I'm not sure either. From the looks of it, this Araki Takashi seems to be much more powerful than Su Zimo's creation Qinglian body." Fairy Ling Long said, "Yes, now he is the patriarch of the Heaven Baron sect in the Demon region. Even Feng Cantillon is under his command." At the mention of Feng Cantillon, Lin Zhan's expression softened. He revealed a smile and said, "I didn't expect Brother Feng to not die. Instead, he was imprisoned in the Great Jin Celestial Nation. Now that he has escaped, he can enter the Grotto Heaven realm in the Demon region and become an immortal king." Speaking of this, Lin Zhan sighed softly and said, "We haven't seen him for a long time. It's a pity that my injuries haven't healed and I can't leave. After so many years, I'm afraid only the 3 of us are left of those old friends of Heaven Baron sect who ascended." Fairy Ling Long comforted him. "Fortunately, there are still rising stars like Su Zimo in Heaven Baron sect. Perhaps they can do what we have yet to do." "I hope so," Lin Zhan replied. Suddenly, Lin Zhan seemed to have thought of something. A cold glint flashed past his eyes. He sent a voice transmission and asked, "That's right. Why was it so coincidental that King Yunyu appeared and tried to kill Su Zimo when he was ascending? The Cloud Underworld King definitely doesn't have this ability." Fairy Ling Long said in a low voice, "There should be an expert guiding him from behind." He used a supreme secret technique to deduce the heavenly secrets and calculated the time and place of Su Zimo's ascension. Then he killed him. Even I can't do it so accurately. I can only deduce that Su Zimo would face this tribulation. That's why I went later. Lin Zhan asked directly, who in the heaven domain can do it? This person might not be from the heaven domain. Fairy Linglong said, the 3,000 upper worlds are vast and boundless. There are countless strange people. There are many people who can do this. As for the heaven domain, from what I know, there is indeed one person who can do this. However what? Lin Zhan asked. Fairy Linglong said, back then, there was another person besides the Cloud Underworld King who tried to kill Su Zimo. This person looks unfamiliar. He's not the person from the heaven domain that I just now mentioned. Could it be that he used some kind of secret technique to change his appearance? Lin Zhan asked. Fairy Linglong shook her head and said, no, our cultivation levels are about the same. If he used such a secret technique, I would be able to sense it. Lin Zhan said in a low voice, if that's the case, the person beside the Cloud Underworld King should be from outside the heaven domain. Fairy Linglong was deep in thought. A hint of worry flashed past her eyes. She said, what I'm worried about now is another situation. What do you mean? Lin Zhan's expression changed. He could tell that Fairy Linglong seemed to be implying something. Fairy Linglong was about to explain when a shout came from outside the main hall. The voice was anxious and trembling. It seemed that something big had happened. It was extremely shocked. Report, there's news from the Jade Firmament's celestial region. The few people in the bedroom were energized. Fairy Linglong, Lin Lei, and Lin Luo all stood up. They looked a little nervous. Lin Lei was even more uneasy. He knew that Araki Takashi was most likely dead. Once this news spread, he would definitely be severely punished by his father. In the blink of an eye, a guard rushed into the main hall. He was panting as he bowed to Lin Zhan and the others. There's no need to be so polite. How is Araki Takashi? Fairy Linglong asked directly. The guard said, Araki Takashi has already left Langfeng City. What? Lin Lei was shocked. He asked in disbelief, he left alive? The guard nodded and said, it said that when a celestial king descended, Araki Takashi withstood the celestial king's attack and killed the city lord of Langfeng City, Song Xian, right under the celestial king's nose. Lin Lei and Lin Luo were shocked. They gasped. The guard continued, after that, more than 10 celestial kings descended. Araki Takashi took out the prison-suppressing cauldron, broke through the void, and entered a space tunnel to leave the Jade Firmament's celestial region. The siblings Lin Lei and Lin Luo were dumbfounded as they listened to him. Araki Takashi withstood the celestial king's attack and killed Song Xian right under the celestial king's nose? Then, Araki Takashi escaped under the gaze of more than 10 celestial kings? After the two of them left, such a thing actually happened? Chapter 2443. Even Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong were pleasantly surprised, let alone Lin Lei and his sister. They couldn't believe it. However, the two of them were experienced and knowledgeable. When they thought of the various strange things that Araki Takashi had revealed, they could still maintain their calm. Lin Lei's face was full of shock and doubt. His mind was a little chaotic from the impact of this news, and he couldn't react for a moment. He tried his best to organize his thoughts and asked, no, wait a moment. That Araki Takashi is just a perfected immortal. How could he break through the void and escape Langfeng City? Fairy Linglong said, if Araki Takashi has the prison-suppressing cauldron, he should already be in control of the Avicii Hell. He should be able to establish a passage with the Avicii Hell and return there at any time. Isn't the prison-suppressing cauldron in? Lin Zhan had heard Fairy Linglong mention before that Su Zimo had escaped after ascending because he was hiding in the prison-suppressing cauldron. However, before he finished speaking, he remembered that Su Zimo and Araki Takashi were the same person. It was not surprising that the prison-suppressing cauldron was in Araki Takashi's hands. Lin Lei still felt confused and couldn't understand. He asked, no, those immortal kings descended and just watched Araki Takashi leave Langfeng City without doing anything? That guard hurriedly nodded and said, one of the immortal kings was furious and directly chased after him, And then, at this point, the guard suddenly swallowed his saliva, as if there was a lingering fear in his heart. Then what? Lin Lei asked impatiently. The guard said, then, not long after, that immortal king died. Lin Lei and Lin Luo were dumbfounded. Their jaws almost fell to the ground. Immortal kings, who were close to the peak in the upper realm, actually died? And they died without knowing why. Lin Lei subconsciously looked at Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong with a confused expression. When Fairy Linglong heard the news and learned that Araki Takashi was fine, she also relaxed. She smiled and explained, Araki Takashi broke through the void and returned to the ceaseless pain hell. The immortal king also followed him. How dangerous is the Avicii hell? Even imperial emperors can't make it out alive. Araki Takashi has the protection of the prison suppressing cauldron, so naturally he's not in any danger. Isn't that the same as sending an immortal king to his death? I see. Lin Lei suddenly understood. The guard grinned and said, I've heard that the Jade Heaven celestial regions suffered a great loss. Half of their true immortal cultivators died. The leaders of the 5 great celestial cities are all dead. They won't be able to compete for the true immortal list of the continent of the 9 clouds. Lin Zhan smiled and praised. He turned the Jade Heaven celestial region upside down by himself and severely injured the true immortal world. It won't be able to recover for tens of thousands of years. He's really powerful. Araki Takashi will definitely become famous in the heaven world and shock the continent of the 9 clouds. Fairy Linglong smiled and said, actually, Araki Takashi's name has already spread throughout the heaven world 1,000 years ago. He passed the 10th heavenly tribulation, destroyed millions of demons, and killed the supreme true demon. These are enough to make him famous. It's just that almost nobody believes these rumors. Countless cultivators witnessed this battle. Araki Takashi wreaked havoc in Langfeng City, killed thousands of true immortals, killed the leaders of the 5 great celestial cities, killed the immortal king, and escaped unscathed. From today onwards, I'm afraid no one in the world will dare to underestimate him. Lin Lei saw that his father and mother admired Araki Takashi very much and were not stingy with their praise. He couldn't help but feel a little jealous. He did admire Araki Takashi's methods, but since he was young he was also extremely outstanding among his peers. However, his parents had never praised him like this. Moreover, Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong were right in front of him. They praised Araki Takashi like this, which made him feel even more uncomfortable. Lin Lei said, Araki Takashi's combat power is indeed strong, but he's a little reckless. He only cares about being hot-blooded and happy, but he doesn't know how to look at the big picture. He broke into Langfeng City this time. Although he killed happily and became famous, he also completely became enemies with the Jade Heaven Celestial Region. I'm sure that the Jade Heaven Celestial Region will definitely make a big move and take revenge on Araki Takashi and the Heaven Baron sect behind him. Araki Takashi has the prison-suppressing cauldron and can hide in the Avicii hell at any time, but what about the Heaven Baron sect? His actions will bring a disaster to the Heaven Wasteland sect. Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong looked at each other and nodded secretly. Lin Lei's words were not without reason. Unexpectedly, the guard waved his hand and said, no, it's said that the immortal kings of the Jade Heaven Celestial Region have decided to take the long term. Huh? Lin Lei's eyes widened and asked, how is that possible? Thousands of perfected immortals, 5 immortal city lords, and 1 immortal king. With such a huge loss and deep hatred, the Jade Heaven Celestial Region decided to just let it go? The guard replied, we didn't find out the exact reason, but I heard that it has something to do with a mask. The Jade Heaven Celestial Region did not take any revenge, but only rebuilt Langfeng City. Those immortal kings also returned and never appeared again. Mask? Lin Lei looked confused and subconsciously looked at Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong. He felt that in the past hour, his knowledge had been constantly challenged, and he could no longer think clearly. The Jade Heaven Celestial Region's reaction was also beyond Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong's expectations. Mask, Fairy Linglong murmured softly, What mask could make the immortal kings of the Jade Heaven celestial region so afraid? Could it be? She suddenly thought of a possibility. At the same time, Lin Zhan seemed to have understood something and nodded at Fairy Linglong, saying, "It should be. I'm afraid only that mask could have such a great deterrent force." Fairy Linglong suddenly smiled and said, "I didn't expect that Araki Takashi would have so many secrets. I wonder what his relationship with that person is." Lin Zhan laughed and said, "The Jade Heaven celestial region has suffered a loss and can only endure it." Lin Luo listened attentively at the side and did not say a word. She only reacted now and could not help but clap her hands and praise, "This Araki Takashi is so powerful." Among those of the same age, she had admired Lin Lei the most since she was young. But now, she suddenly realized that compared to this Araki Takashi of the demon realm, her brother was much inferior. Lin Luo smiled and patted Lin Lei's shoulder. She teased, "Brother, compared to him, you're so weak." Lin Lei was dejected, and suddenly he was stabbed in the back by his sister. His blood rushed to his heart, and he almost fainted. Lin Lei pulled a long face and said unhappily, "Your taste is not good either. The Su Zimo you like is far inferior to this Araki Takashi." "Who likes him?" Lin Luo argued. Lin Lei pursed his lips and continued, "Let's not talk about Araki Takashi. That weak scholar is thousands of miles away from your brother." Lin Luo quickly ran to Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong and complained coquettishly, "Father, mother, look at him. He's bullying me again." Lin Zhan and Fairy Linglong looked at each other. Lin Zhan sneered and glared at Lin Lei. Fairy Linglong shook her head slightly and said meaningfully, "Lei, don't look down on others. Maybe one day, you will realize that you've made too many mistakes." Chapter 2444. Lin Luo leaned against Lin Zhan and urged him, "Father, take the 9 Revolutions Yang Restoration Pill and the Worryless Fruit. I don't know if these 2 items will be useful for your injuries." Lin Zhan looked at Lin Luo with a gentle expression. He smiled and said, "My precious daughter went through so much trouble to find these elixirs. They will definitely be useful. With the help of these 2 treasures, my injuries will be healed in no time. My cultivation will be back to normal." "That's great." Lin Luo jumped in joy. To her, this was the best news. All these years, she had watched her father suffer from serious injuries and her mother worry about him day and night. She was very sad, but she didn't know how to help. Now, this problem was finally solved. Lin Lei was also surprised. Just now, the unhappiness in his heart had disappeared. Compared to her father's health, those were nothing. "Little sister, you have done a great job this time." Lin Lei smiled and said, "I won't bully you anymore." "How dare you?" Lin Luo raised her chin proudly. Fairy Linglong smiled and said, "All right, go out and play. Don't come in and disturb me." Lin Lei and Lin Luo realized that their father was about to enter seclusion to recuperate, so they quickly bowed and left. A series of cheerful laughter came from outside the bedroom. This kind of laughter hadn't appeared in the palace of the Warring States Kingdom for many years. Inside the bedroom, Fairy Linglong's smile gradually disappeared as she watched the 2 children leave. She turned to look at Lin Zhan. Her gaze was gentle, but she didn't say anything. Lin Zhan reached out and held Fairy Linglong's hand. He said softly, "You know?" Fairy Linglong nodded and said, "I know your injuries the best. The 9 Revolutions Yang Restoration Pill and the Worryless Fruit can't save you." Lin Zhan knew that he couldn't hide it from Fairy Linglong. He smiled and said, "Not necessarily. The Worryless Fruit can heal the primordial spirit. It can help me recover a little. If I'm lucky, I might be able to reach the Grotto Heaven realm. It's naturally weaker than my peak condition." Fairy Linglong lowered her head and didn't say anything. Her eyes were slightly red. At his peak, Lin Zhan was a peerless celestial king who had formed a Grotto Heaven. Moreover, he was a peerless celestial king. At his peak, Lin Zhan could rule a celestial kingdom, and was fearless. Now, even if he was lucky, he could only barely recover celestial king. The gap between them was like the difference between heaven and earth. What kind of torture was this huge difference to Lin Zhan's heart? And I. Also. And. I. Deep. They don't know the inside story, so they won't dare to act rashly. Lin Zhan nodded. However, there was still a hint of helplessness and bitterness in his eyes. He muttered softly, I don't know how long I can keep this a secret. The news of the battle in Langfeng City spread rapidly in the Nine Clouds celestial realm. In less than 5 days, the news had already spread throughout the heaven realm. Araki Takashi became famous after the battle. It caused a huge commotion in the Nine Clouds celestial realm and the Pure Lands. Araki Takashi's name had already spread throughout the demon region, so it was still relatively calm. However, when they heard that Araki Takashi had gone to the Jade Cloud celestial realm alone and started a massacre, it caused countless demon cultivators to go crazy. Have you heard? A peerless demon has been born in the demon region. I know. This demon went through the 10th heavenly tribulation. He destroyed millions of demon soldiers and killed the supreme true demon. He barged into the Jade Cloud celestial realm alone and caused a ruckus at the Feast of Peaches. He killed thousands of perfected immortals and 5 celestial city lords. He even killed a celestial king. The Jade Cloud celestial realm. Fuderes. Behind Araki Takashi is Emperor Bo Sun, who once dominated the heaven realm. Who dares to provoke him? Almost all the major sects and forces in the heaven realm, celestial kingdoms and celestial cities, were discussing this matter. Divine Cloud celestial realm. In front of Emoqing's cave abode, the Moonlight Sword Immortal held a communication jade slip in her hand and paced around nearby. After a long time, the door of the cave abode slowly opened. Emoqing walked out with a calm expression and asked, Senior brother, why are you looking for me? Something has happened in the Jade Cloud celestial realm. The Moonlight Sword Immortal said. Emoqing did not care about the Jade Cloud celestial realm at all. In recent years, she had gone to the Academy's communication pavilion to browse the news, but she only focused on the news of the demon realm. However, the Moonlight Sword Immortal continued. The peerless demon of the demon region, Araki Takashi, has come out. Emoqing's expression changed. She tried her best to calm down and said calmly, Let me take a look. The Moonlight Sword Immortal handed over the communication jade slip in her hand. Emoqing placed it on her forehead and poured her divine sense into it. Not long after, she browsed through all the information that the Qianquan Academy had found in Langfeng City. The information in the communication jade slip was not very detailed. It also did not describe the situation after Araki Takashi left. However, Emoqing found a detail in this communication jade slip. Junior brother Su of the Academy was also in Langfeng City at that time. In other words, junior brother Su was most likely at the scene and witnessed the battle with his own eyes. Emoqing prepared to leave and go to the inner sect of the Academy to personally ask Su Zimo about this matter. The Moonlight Sword Immortal saw that Emoqing took the communication jade slip and browsed it. After that, she did not say a word to her and was about to leave. She could not help but feel displeased. The Moonlight Sword Immortal frowned and said, Junior sister, where do you plan to go? This matter has caused a huge commotion in the Nine Clouds celestial realm. Master has already ordered you to try your best not to leave the Academy during this period. Because of the battle in Langfeng City, many forces in the Nine Clouds celestial realm felt a huge threat. Who could guarantee that the next time Araki Takashi would not come to their door, kill them, and then turn around and leave? Some sects and forces even directly chose to seal their mountains and forbid their disciples from leaving. They were afraid that they would run into this peerless demon. Even a heaven-grade force like the Qianquan Academy began to send immortal kings to patrol around the Academy. Su Zimo did not know that Wu Dao's battle had not only made him famous, but also made the entire Nine Clouds celestial realm jittery. Senior brother, do you have to care where I go? Emoqing asked in return. The Moonlight Sword Immortal smiled and said, Junior sister, you're exaggerating. When I heard about this, I rushed over immediately to remind you to be careful. After all, this peerless demon is incomparably ferocious and violent. He doesn't know how to be gentle with women. Mo Qing suddenly thought of something and actually smiled. She said softly, "It's okay. Senior brother is in the academy." Seeing Mo Qing's smile, the Moonlight Sword Immortal was stunned. Hearing Mo Qing's words, he also felt a wave of surprise and smiled. Mo Qing continued, "After all, that Araki Takashi only has a reputation. If he dares to show up, senior brother will definitely cut off his facade and destroy his legend." After saying that, Mo Qing floated away. The smile on the Moonlight Sword Immortal's face froze. His face completely darkened. This was what he had said to Mo Qing back then. Now that he heard it, it was filled with great irony. Because now in the entire Nine Clouds celestial realm, and even the heaven realm, there was not a single true immortal who dared to say such words to Araki Takashi. Chapter 2445. The Moonlight Sword Immortal looked in the direction Fairy Mo Qing had left with an ugly expression. Not long after, a cultivator rushed over. This person was also a core disciple named Shaoli. After entering the core area, he had followed the Moonlight Sword Immortal and obeyed her orders. "Where did she go?" the Moonlight Sword Immortal asked in a low voice. Shaoli said, "I saw it with my own eyes." Senior sister Mo Qing went to the inner sect of the academy and headed in the direction of Su Zimo's cave abode. "It's him again." The Moonlight Sword Immortal frowned. Shaoli was also confused. "As far as I know, this is the second time senior sister Mo Qing went to Su Zimo's cave abode." The Moonlight Sword Immortal's face darkened and she did not say a word. No one knew what she was thinking. Shaoli said, "Senior sister Mo Qing has a quiet personality and does not like to interact with others. She has always been a loner. In the core area, I have never seen her go to anyone's cave abode. Why did she go to the inner sect of the academy twice to find Su Zimo?" "I might be wrong," the Moonlight Sword Immortal suddenly said. "Because of the previous rumors, I subconsciously thought that there was something between Mo Qing and Yang Ruoxu. But in these years, after Yang Ruoxu entered the true self realm and became a core disciple, he became very close to the Qi Hong Infanta of the inner sect of the academy. They almost announced that they were Dao companions." Shaoli nodded. "It's impossible between senior sister Mo Qing and Yang Ruoxu." The Moonlight Sword Immortal said, "I thought about it carefully just now. Actually, when Mo Qing appeared twice to save Yang Ruoxu, there was another person at the scene." "Su Zimo?" Shaoli asked tentatively. The Moonlight Sword Immortal nodded and narrowed her eyes. During the Immortal Sect selection thousands of years ago, for some reason, Mo Qing suddenly appeared and came to the Coiling Dragon Mountain range to save Yang Ruoxu. But the cause of that conflict was Su Zimo. After that, in the outer sect of the academy, Yang Ruoxu was there and so were we. Mo Qing appeared again. And the cause of that conflict was Su Zimo. The person that Mo Qing saved these two times was Su Zimo." Shaoli frowned. "Senior sister Mo Qing and Su Zimo?" Senior sister Mo Qing is a true first-stage Kongming stage expert and one of the four great fairies. That Su Zimo just stepped into the Sky Origin stage not long ago. Isn't the difference too big? The Moonlight Sword Immortal snorted coldly and said, "Don't forget, Su Zimo had once reached the 10th step of the Dao Heart Staircase. He was unprecedented and was even accepted as an in-name disciple by Master. In terms of status, he's not much worse than us. But how can this Su Zimo compare to you, senior brother?" Shaoli still couldn't understand. He shook his head and said, "Cultivation base, status, fame, glory, connections. He has no advantage in any of these. The difference between him and senior brother is like the difference between heaven and earth. Senior sister Mo Qing isn't blind. Why would she like that Su Zimo?" After hearing these words, the Moonlight Sword Immortal was a little shaken. She muttered, "What you said is very pertinent and not without reason. Compared to me, Su Zimo is indeed much worse." Shaoli said, "Maybe there's nothing between senior sister Mo Qing and Su Zimo. Previously, there were many rumors about senior sister Mo Qing and Yang Ruoxu. Now that I look at it, aren't they all just rumors? Maybe I'm being paranoid." The Moonlight Sword Immortal said thoughtfully, but I keep feeling that I've seen Su Zimo somewhere before. Su Zimo brought Momo back to Chengkuan Academy and went straight to his cave abode. He didn't show his face for a few days. Firstly, he had shown his face in Langfeng City as a disciple of the academy. With such a big thing happening in the Jade Heaven Immortal Domain, he wanted to lie low and wait for the wind to blow. But after a few days of observation, he realized that his worries were completely unnecessary. Compared to Araki Takashi of the Demon Domain appearing and going on a killing spree, no one cared about anything else. Even Lin Lei and his sister were not discussed, let alone him. Secondly, he and Momo had not seen each other for a long time and had a lot to talk about. Su Zimo planned to keep Momo by his side for the time being. He also wanted to instruct Momo on some things in case she encountered any trouble in Chengkuan Academy. Normally, an inner sect disciple like him could choose hundreds of immortal servants in the academy. But he had too many secrets, and he couldn't completely trust the immortal servants he chose. Therefore, his cave abode had been very quiet all these years. He was the only one there, and all the trivial matters were handled by him. Now that Momo was by his side, it could save him a lot of trouble and make him feel more human. Thirdly, he had gained a lot from this trip to the Jade Heaven Immortal Domain. His cultivation had already risen to the level of a Stage 5 Heavenly Immortal. In terms of treasures, he had obtained the Immortal Willow, the Bodhi Seed, the Great Purity Purple Cloud Talisman, and an Immortality Peach Seedling. In terms of cultivation techniques, he had obtained the Clear Jade Book and the Dusk Drum Dermic Dao. All of these required a lot of time to cultivate and consolidate. Of course, his greatest gain from the Jade Heaven Immortal Domain was finding Momo. In the Spirit Garden in the cave abode, there were 2 more carefree trees besides the previous one. All these years, the carefree trees showed no signs of reviving. Su Zimo decided to plant the half of the Immortal Willow branch and the Immortality Peach seedling he had obtained, and wait for the changes. In the past few days, Momo would come to take care of the 3 immortal trees when she had nothing to do. On the couch in the cave abode, Su Zimo held the Bodhi seed in his hand and was browsing the Clear Jade Book. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat as he heard a message from outside the cave abode. Senior Sister Mo Qing? Su Zimo pondered for a while, then got up and went outside the cave abode to welcome Senior Sister Mo Qing in. If it were anyone else, Su Zimo would most likely ignore them. However, Senior Sister Mo Qing had saved him twice, and the 2 of them had gone through a lot in the Avicii hell. After Mo Qing sat down, she did not exchange pleasantries and took the initiative to say, "I heard about what happened in the Jade Heaven Immortal Domain. You were there at the time, right?" Ah, Su Zimo was stunned. In the past few days, everyone in the academy had been discussing Araki Takashi of the Demon Domain, and no one had cared about him at all. This was the first time someone had asked about this. Senior Sister suddenly asked this. Does she already have suspicions about Araki Takashi and me? Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. After all, back in the Avicii hell, he and Wu Dao's original body were both present at the same time in Langfeng City. It was indeed easy to make the connection. It's also a coincidence. Su Zimo laughed and said vaguely, "At that time, I happened to be in Langfeng City. Who knew that Araki Takashi would suddenly kill me? I heard that it was because one of his disciples was captured by the city lord of Langfeng City. At that time, the battle was intense and chaotic. I did not have time to greet him." Mo Qing's expression was calm. She said, "The information I saw in the communication jade slip is not very detailed. Tell me about the situation at that time." Su Zimo was confused. Senior Sister Mo Qing's expression did not seem to have any intention of suspecting him. Then why did she suddenly come over to ask about this? Su Zimo did not understand Mo Qing's thoughts. He could only roughly explain the ins and outs of the matter from a bystander's point of view. Fairy Mo Qing was listening attentively. Sometimes a flash of light flashed across her beautiful eyes, and sometimes a faint smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Chapter 2446. Senior Sister smiled? As Su Zimo narrated, he inadvertently glanced at Mo Qing's elegant face and was a little surprised. He blinked and looked directly at Emo Qing, who was sitting there with a calm expression. It was as if the smile on her face was just an illusion. Su Zimo didn't think too much about it. After all, there was nothing funny about the battle at Langfeng City. What's more, senior sister Emo Qing was immersed in the Tao of painting. She was indifferent and had few desires. She rarely got angry and rarely showed any joy. Why would she smile because of the battle at the Jade Firmament Immortal Domain? I saw that the situation was not good, so I ran back in advance. Later, I heard that Araki Takashi also escaped unscathed. Su Zimo let out a long breath and finally finished telling the story. Emo Qing lowered her head slightly and asked, "Did Araki Takashi contact you after that?" Su Zimo shrugged slightly. He didn't lie about this. After Wu Dao's main body entered the Avicii Hell, he didn't take the initiative to contact him. He had too many things to do and didn't have time to care about Wu Dao's main body. Emo Qing sat quietly and didn't say a word for a long time. No one knew what she was thinking. Su Zimo didn't want to chase Emo Qing out, so he could only sit by her side in confusion. After some time, Emo Qing suddenly turned her head and looked at Su Zimo. She asked hesitantly, "Junior brother Su, do you know what Taoist Araki Takashi looks like?" Su Zimo felt guilty and didn't know how to answer for a moment. After thinking about it, he could only pretend that he didn't know. It was easier to fool her. Su Zimo was about to casually say something, but he just happened to look up and meet Emo Qing's eyes. Her eyes were as clear as water, pure and moving. It was as if they were the most beautiful painting in the world. Looking into those eyes, Su Zimo couldn't bring himself to lie. He avoided Emo Qing's gaze and reached for a cup of fragrant tea beside him to conceal the fluctuations in his heart. He asked, "Senior sister, why are you so curious about Araki Takashi's appearance?" Emo Qing said, "I want to paint a portrait of him." Cough cough. Su Zimo had just taken a sip of tea. When he heard this, he instantly choked and his face turned red. Emo Qing's expression was calm and her tone was indifferent as she explained, "It's because fellow Taoist Araki Takashi once saved my life. I don't have anything to repay him, so I can only give him a painting to express my gratitude." "I see." Su Zimo calmed himself down and thought to himself, "Looks like I was thinking too much." Su Zimo coughed lightly and said, "Senior sister, you can just give him any one of them. Every one of senior sister's paintings are treasures of the world." "How can that be?" Emo Qing shook her head and said seriously, "If it's just a painting, I naturally have to express my sincerity. How can I just casually give him a painting?" Su Zimo said, "Then senior sister can just paint another one. Why are you asking about Araki Takashi's appearance?" "I want to paint Araki Takashi himself." Emo Qing blurted out. "A portrait?" Su Zimo's eyes widened as he looked at Emo Qing with a face of astonishment. He subconsciously asked, "Senior sister, you never paint portraits?" Speaking of this, Emo Qing slightly lowered her head and avoided Su Zimo's gaze. She said softly, "Because I obtained the gods, demons, immortals, and demons diagram, I have a new understanding of the Tao of painting. That's why I want to try painting a portrait." Su Zimo was stunned on the spot. His mind was in a mess. No matter how slow his reaction was, he now understood why senior sister Emo Qing came to his cave twice to ask about Wu Dao's true body. "If you don't want to say it, then forget it. I'll go back first." Emo Qing suddenly stood up and walked out of the cave. Su Zimo also hurriedly stood up and sent senior sister Emo Qing out of the door. Su Zimo only heaved a sigh of relief after senior sister Emo Qing disappeared from his sight. But soon he felt a headache. It can't be, what is this? For a moment, Su Zimo didn't know how to deal with this matter. Normally speaking, directly telling Emo Qing that he was Araki Takashi would be the easiest way to solve this matter. If senior sister Emo Qing knew that he was Araki Takashi, she most likely wouldn't like him and would immediately give up. But Wu Dao's true body was his secret and also his greatest trump card. He didn't want to expose it too early. After pondering for a long time, Su Zimo could only choose to temporarily delay. In any case, the martial Dao body and Emo Qing were far apart from each other. It was impossible for them to be together. In the future, he would cultivate in seclusion in the academy and avoid senior sister Mo Qing. After a long time, senior sister Mo Qing would probably forget about this matter. At this moment, Wu Dao's true body suddenly sensed something. Wu Dao's true body arrived in Avicii and used the hellish creatures there. Not long after, he killed the immortal king who had chased after him. Then, Wu Dao's true body didn't stay in Avicii and directly returned to the Heaven Baron sect. This time, Wu Dao's true body also gained a lot. Not only did he obtain an immortal king's storage bag, but also thousands of Dao fruits. Each Dao fruit nurtured the Dao techniques of a true immortal and was extremely precious. In the cultivation world, it would cause countless true immortals to fight over it. And Wu Dao's true body, in order to forge the true Wu Dao body and continue to comprehend Wu Dao's techniques, the number of Dao fruits required was unimaginable. This time, Wu Dao's true body called Qinglian's true body for another important matter. 1,000 years ago, the news of Feng Cantian entering the Grotto Heaven and being conferred the title of Heaven's Wrath Immortal King had already spread to the 9 Heavens Immortal Realm. However, after such a long time, there was still no news of true immortal Zhangye and Feng Zi. The two of them also didn't rush to the demon territory to meet up with Feng Cantian. True immortal Zhangye was an old friend of Feng Cantian's from the Heaven Baron sect. Feng Zi was Feng Cantian's granddaughter and his only family in this world. Feng Cantian missed her and even went to the Divine Firmament Immortal Realm to look for her. However, the Divine Firmament Immortal Realm was vast and boundless. If Feng Cantian looked for her bit by bit, it was tantamount to looking for a needle in a haystack. When he released his immortal King Divine Sense to search, he quickly attracted the joint pursuit of several peerless immortal kings from the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom. Feng Cantian's Grotto Heaven had just been formed and was not a match for those immortal kings. Helpless, he could only return to the demon territory. Feng Cantian had many inconveniences in the Divine Firmament Immortal Realm, so he wanted to ask Su Zimo, who was a disciple of the academy, to find out about true immortal Zhangye and Feng Zi. In front of the cave, Su Zimo was silent when he heard the news. This was indeed a big deal. Normally, if true immortal Zhangye and Feng Zi were still alive, they would definitely go to the demon territory after hearing that Feng Cantian had established a firm foothold in the demon territory. However, there was no news of them for 1,000 years. Su Zimo recalled something. When the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom had wanted to kill him, they had also launched a frenzied attack on the Sundered Knight organization founded by true immortal Zhangye. The leader was Duke Yuanzhua. Even if true immortal Zhangye and Feng Zi were still alive, they would be in a very bad situation all these years. Currently, the only thing that could be deduced was that true immortal Zhangye and Feng Zi had not fallen into the hands of the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom. Otherwise, the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom would definitely use them to threaten Feng Cantian. Chapter 2447. At the mention of Feng Zi, Su Zimo couldn't help but think of another person. Duke Yuanzhua. Back then, it was because of the Duke Yuanzhua's hunting party that he met Feng Zi and saved Feng Cantian. 1,000 years ago, near the Grand Tai Wei Mountain, Duke Yuanzhua joined forces with the flying celestial sects Heaven Immortal, Pang Yi from the Pang clan, Xia Tianhong from the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom, and Tang Peng from the Academy to ambush him. In the end, they were defeated by the 4 saint souls awakened in the prison-suppressing cauldron and suffered heavy losses. Pang Yi, Heaven Immortal Ge Yuan, Tang Peng, and the others all died. Xia Tianhong, True Immortal Mirror Moon, and True Immortal Yulong all died in the Avicii Hell. Only Duke Yuanzhua escaped back to the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom. All these years, there was no news of Duke Yuanzhua. It was as if he had disappeared. Su Zimo joined the Chengkuan Academy and was backed by one of the 4 major celestial sects. Even Zither deity Meng Yao didn't have a chance to act, so Duke Yuanzhua could only give up. Searching for true immortal Zhangye and Feng Zi alone is like looking for a needle in a haystack. I have to use the Academy's power. With that thought, Su Zimo prepared to go to the inner sect and ask Yang Ruoxu what he should do. At that moment, an auspicious cloud came from afar, and 3 figures stood on it. Su Zimo looked up and couldn't help but smile. Yang Ruoxu and Princess Chi Hong were holding hands as they walked together. Beside them stood an 8 or 9-year-old child. He wore a green robe and had a tender face. He looked very cute, but his eyes were a little mature. It was Lu Ping. The three of them were Su Zimo's only acquaintances in the Chengkuan Academy. Yang Ruoxu was among them, so he didn't have to make a trip. "Brother Su, how have you been?" Yang Ruoxu stood on the auspicious cloud and said with a smile on his face before he even got close. Princess Chi Hong and Lu Ping also waved in his direction and greeted him. Su Zimo smiled and said, "I learned from the patriarch's teachings. I predicted that an old friend would visit me today, so I came out early to welcome you." Ha! Yang Ruoxu and the other two burst into laughter. In the blink of an eye, the three of them arrived. Su Zimo brought them back to the cave and sat down. It had been 1,000 years since the last time the four of them met. Yang Ruoxu said, "I've wanted to look for you many times over the years, but I didn't disturb you when I saw that you were in seclusion. I didn't expect you to go to the Jade Heaven celestial realm after coming out of seclusion and witness a great battle." Su Zimo shook his head and smiled bitterly. It was a freak combination of factors. "Senior brother, you, Lu Ping seemed to have noticed something. His eyes widened as he pointed at Su Zimo and said, "You've already cultivated to the 5th stage of the heavenly immortal realm?" Yang Ruoxu scanned with her divine consciousness and detected Su Zimo's cultivation base. As expected. So strong. Yang Ruoxu couldn't help but exclaim. Princess Chi Hong's face was filled with shock. During the 10,000-year meeting, the three of them had entered the heavenly origin realm at almost the same time and joined the inner sect. Princess Chi Hong had been with Yang Ruoxu all these years and had slacked off in her cultivation. She had just entered the 2nd stage of the heavenly origin realm. After Lu Ping had taken over Su Zimo's body, he was reborn and had outstanding talent. He had been cultivating wholeheartedly and had only reached the peak of the 2nd stage of the heavenly origin realm. Su Zimo had already cultivated to the 5th stage of the heavenly immortal realm. Only 2,000 years had passed since the 10,000-year meeting. Yang Ruoxu and the other two could think of this and didn't dare to delay. They hurriedly stood up and bowed back. Tao Yao smiled faintly and retreated. Lu Ping rolled his eyes and couldn't help but bring up the old matter. "Senior brother Su, you've already made an exception and recruited someone. I'll move over and be a Dao child by your side." In fact, in Lu Ping's heart, Su Zimo wasn't just a senior brother. Back then, in the 9 heavens of the Flaming Sun Immortal Kingdom, if not for Su Zimo's help, he would have died. In the end, not only did he survive, but he was also reborn and obtained an unimaginable great opportunity. In his heart, Su Zimo was more like a benefactor. That was the reason why he wanted to move over time and time again to help Su Zimo with his chores. In fact, Lu Ping didn't know that he had this tendency and consciousness not only because Su Zimo had given him a new life. It was also because Su Zimo's original body was the only creation in the world, Qinglian. All the plants in the world could not help but gather around the green lotus of creation. Chapter 2448. Even Su Zimo did not realize that. He was able to obtain the 3 top-grade immortal woods of the heavenly realm, the carefree wood, the immortal willow and the immortal peach sapling. Although he went through a series of hardships and it was his fortuitous encounter, there was naturally fate behind it. Let's talk about this later. Su Zimo shook his head slightly and did not comment. Seeing that Su Zimo was unwilling to agree, Lu Ping had an idea and said, "I'm going to look for Momo. I'm not going to play with you adults anymore. It's boring." With that, Lu Ping jogged and entered the backyard of the cave abode. Su Zimo did not stop him. However, he chatted with Yang Ruoxu and Princess Chi Hong while paying attention to the movements behind the cave abode. Although Lu Ping was not young, he was still a child and looked about the same age as Momo. There was no barrier between the two children when they were together. Lu Ping had been in the academy for a long time, so he picked some interesting things to tell Tao Yao. Momo was curious and gradually became familiar with Lu Ping. He was full of unknowns about the Qianquan Academy and the entire upper realm. Su Zimo could not help but find it funny when he saw that. He could naturally tell what Lu Ping was thinking. He was trying to get closer to Momo and find a way to stay here. Su Zimo sensed the smile on Momo's face and her eyes shone brightly. His heart softened and he was suddenly touched. He usually cultivated in seclusion and Momo was alone. Facing such a huge cave abode, she must have felt a little lonely. Back in Pingyang town, Momo still had the cute and kind neighbors in the town. However, in the Qianquan Academy of the Heavenly Realm, Momo did not know anyone other than him. In the future, when Momo walked around the academy and faced this unfamiliar environment with so many unfamiliar experts, she could not help but feel afraid and alienated. It would be a good choice to have someone of the same age as her in the academy by her side. Even if he was cultivating in seclusion, when the two children were free, they could chat together and keep each other company so that they wouldn't feel lonely. If Lu Ping insists on staying, then let him be. A thought flashed through Su Zimo's mind. Lu Ping, who was chatting happily with Momo, did not realize that it was Su Zimo's idea that completely changed his fate. This was the greatest fortuitous encounter of his life. Many years later, when that person reached the peak and reigned supreme over the world, the two Taoist children who often stood behind him would be revered and praised by countless future generations. Right? Su Zimo thought of something and asked, "Brother Yang, if we want to find two people in the divine firmament celestial realm, how do we use the power of the academy?" The most direct way is to post a bounty mission in the academy. Yang Ruoxu said, "However, the divine firmament celestial realm is vast. Unless we have some clues, it will be extremely difficult to find them. Moreover, this kind of mission will take a long time, and there might not be any results. There won't be many academy disciples who will accept this mission." Su Zimo understood. In other words, if they wanted to find true immortal Zhangye and Feng Zi, the Heaven and Earth Academy might not be of much use. Yang Ruoxu glanced at Qi Hong beside him and said, "Actually, the three great celestial kingdoms are better at finding people. The three great celestial kingdoms have a large number of immortal armies and many organizations that collect information. They have many eyes and ears. If they give the order, the huge celestial kingdoms will operate. Perhaps they will find something. Although I am the princess of the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom, I am always outside and don't have my own forces. However, I can tell Brother Qingqing about this." After pausing for a while, Qi Hong looked at Su Zimo and said, "Senior brother Su, you know him too?" "Of course, Princess Qingqing." Su Zimo nodded slightly. When he participated in the 10,000-year meeting in the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom's royal city, he had saved Dragon Lake City's city lord Su Shi and his child Su Xiaotian. Because of this, he had a conflict with the Shui family, a large immortal Dao clan, and formed a grudge. At that time, he was only an outer disciple of the academy and couldn't make the decision to keep Su Shi and Su Xiaotian by his side. It was this Princess Qingqing who took the initiative to keep Su Shi and Su Xiaotian by his side to prevent the Shui family from taking revenge on them. Although this Princess Qingqing's status in the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom was ordinary and she was just an ordinary princess, Su Zimo had a good impression of her. Brother Qingqing doesn't rule over a territory, so his power is limited. However, he is always in the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom and has a group of people under him. He can help with this matter. Thank you so much. Su Zimo quickly got up and thanked Princess Qi Hong. He said in a low voice, "Regardless of the outcome of this matter, please thank Princess Qingqing on my behalf." During this period, Su Zimo had gained some insights from cultivating the Clear Jade Manual. Although he couldn't control the Clear Jade Manual in his sea of consciousness, he could already try to communicate with the world in the Clear Jade Manual, Qingwei Sky. In Qingwei Sky, there was a huge palace built entirely with elemental holy rock. When it was taken apart, there were at least a few 100 million elemental holy rock. There are 100 million elemental holy rock in this storage bag. Help me give it to Princess Qingqing. Su Zimo took out 100 million elemental holy rock from Qingwei Sky and handed it over. If you find the person, there will be another reward. 100 million elemental holy rock. Yang Ruoxu and Princess Chi Hong were shocked. Even though Yang Ruoxu was a true immortal, he couldn't take out so many elemental holy rock. That attack is too ferocious. Yang Ruoxu looked at Su Zimo with a strange expression. Princess Chi Hong hurriedly waved her hand and said, This is too much. Princess Qingqing commands her subordinates and issues bounties, so these elemental holy rock is indispensable. As Su Zimo spoke, he stuffed the storage bag into Princess Chi Hong's hands. Senior brother Su, you haven't said who the two people you're looking for are? Princess Chi Hong thought for a while and didn't decline. She accepted the 100 million elemental holy rock and asked again. Su Zimo asked, Kinyi, have you heard of it? I have. It originated from an assassin organization in the Great Jin Celestial Nation. However, it has been surrounded by the executioner guards, and there aren't many left. Yang Ruoxu said, I heard that the founder of Kinyi is an old friend of Feng Kintian. Su Zimo nodded and said, The two people I'm looking for are the leader of Kinyi. He's a true immortal, but his lifespan is nearing its end. His Taoist name is Buried Night. The other is Feng Zi, a young woman. After a pause, Su Zimo continued, As for what characteristics they have, it's hard to say. With their abilities, it's easy for them to hide their tracks and disguise themselves. So, even if we use the power of the Celestial Nation, we might not be able to find them. Princess Chi Hong stood up and said, I'll return to the Flaming Sun Celestial Nation and tell Brother Qingqing about this personally. No matter what, I'll do my best. I'll accompany her back. If there's any news, we'll inform you immediately. Yang Ruoxu also stood up and bid farewell. Thank you both of you. Su Zimo bowed again and thanked them. Chapter 2449. Yang Ruoxu and Princess Chi Hong stood up and left. Lu Ping, who was chatting with Momo at the back of the cave abode, naturally sensed it. However, he wanted to stay here and pretended not to know. Su Zimo smiled and ignored him. After pondering for a while, Su Zimo came to the table, took out a white letter, and wrote a letter solemnly. Then he took out a storage bag containing 100 million pieces of elemental spirit stones and placed the letter inside, sealing it with his divine sense. Momo Lu Ping. Su Zimo called out. When the two Dao children came closer, Su Zimo handed the storage bag to Lu Ping and said, Bring Momo to the Academy's teleportation hall and familiarize yourself with the surroundings. After reaching the teleportation hall, head to the Zixuan Celestial Kingdom immediately and personally hand the storage bag to Princess Yunju. Momo was extremely unfamiliar with the Divine Firmament Celestial Realm and naturally could not complete this task. However, she could also familiarize herself with the surroundings by following Lu Ping around. Momo nodded in confusion. Lu Ping, on the other hand, was overjoyed and beamed. He knew that Su Zimo's arrangement meant that he had accepted him. This is simple. I just need to send a letter. Senior brother, don't worry. Lu Ping stretched out his small hand and patted his chest loudly as he spoke with confidence. The content of the letter was naturally to ask Yunju for help in finding true immortal Zangye and Feng Zi. However, Su Zimo still could not let go of asking Princess Qingqing. Among the three celestial kingdoms, the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom was incompatible with him and naturally could not be counted on. Apart from the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom, there was only the Zixuan Celestial Kingdom left. Yunju was the princess of the Zixuan Celestial Kingdom. Moreover, as one of the four fairies, her status in the Celestial Kingdom was much higher than that of the Princess Qingqing. If Yunju could use the power of the Zixuan Celestial Kingdom, the chances of finding Feng Zi and true immortal Zangye would be much higher. If it was just a simple message, there was no need to go through so much trouble. However, Su Zimo had also prepared 100 million elemental holy stones. If he wanted to send these elemental holy stones and letters to Yunju, he could only rely on people to deliver them. Princess Yun, Lu Ping pulled Momo and was about to leave when he suddenly stopped. He frowned and muttered, Why does this name sound so familiar? Su Zimo said, She was also called the Book Immortal. Lu Ping was shocked. No wonder. Who is the book immortal? Is he famous? Momo blinked and asked. It's too famous, it's like thunder in my ears. Lu Ping said, there are 4 great fairies in the divine firmament celestial realm, and they are all famous in the entire heaven domain. Countless prodigies and monsters are pursuing them, and there are even more who secretly admire them. One of the 4 fairies is the book immortal. Oh yes, one of the true disciples of our Heaven and Earth Academy is also one of the 4 great fairies. She's the painting immortal. I'll tell you more about these things on the way. Momo nodded, her eyes shining with interest. Lu Ping seemed to have thought of something and suddenly felt a little troubled. He said, Senior brother, I just realized what kind of person Yunju is. She's not someone we can meet casually. Not to mention handing this storage bag to her personally. Lu Ping was right. The 4 great fairies were very famous, and they were all top experts among the perfected immortals. How could they be casually met by unknown people like them? Su Zimo said casually, it's fine. When you reach the Zixuan Celestial Kingdom, if someone really stops you, just mention my name. Lu Ping was stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted. He mysteriously moved in front of Su Zimo and asked excitedly, Senior brother, have you already hooked up with book immortal Yunju? Scram. Su Zimo glared at him in annoyance and hollered. Lu Ping did not dare to say anything more. He quickly pulled Momo and ran out of the cave abode. When the 2 of them were a little further away, Lu Ping then said to Momo, Senior brother was a little angry just now. I guess he's chasing after book immortal Yunju. However, I don't think there's a chance. Lu Ping pursed his lips and said, You don't know. Senior brother is not on good terms with one of the book immortal's younger brothers. They're always at each other's throats. Why would the book immortal agree to senior brother? The 2 of us might be chased out by others. Lu Ping brought Momo to the Academy's teleportation hall. Occasionally, when they passed by some buildings in the Academy, he would introduce them to Momo. The distance from Su Zimo's cave abode to the Academy's teleportation hall was at most 15 minutes. The 2 of them dilly-dallied and walked for more than 4 hours. After arriving at the Academy's teleportation hall, Lu Ping and Momo activated the teleportation portal and headed directly to the Zixuan Immortal Kingdom. Not long after, the 2 of them arrived at the teleportation portal of the Zixuan Immortal Kingdom. After finding the guards around the teleportation portal, Lu Ping flashed his sect badge and explained his intentions to the guard. You want to see Princess Yunju? The guard had a strange expression. He sized up the 2 children, Lu Ping and Momo, and felt that it was a little ridiculous. Who is Princess Yunju? The book immortal of the 4 great fairies. How could they meet her so easily? Not to mention outsiders, even guards like them did not have the chance to see her face. If not for the fact that Lu Ping and Momo were from the Qingkuan Academy and that they looked harmless, the guard would have chased them away long ago. Follow me. The guard brought the 2 of them to a large hall and said, You 2 wait here. I'll go and report. The guard had just walked out of the hall when he saw a young man passing by not far away. That person bowed hurriedly and said with an excited expression, Greetings, Duke Yunting. Duke Yunting and Princess Yunju were the pride of the Zixuan Immortal Kingdom. Every single cultivator of the Zixuan Immortal Kingdom had deep respect for the 2 of them. Yunting glanced at that person and nodded slightly. Thereafter, as though he sensed something, his gaze shifted and landed on Momo, who was in the hall. Yunting narrowed his eyes and thought to himself, What a pure and clean aura. Who are those people inside? Yunting asked. Reporting to the Duke. The guard said hurriedly, These 2 children are from the Qingkuan Academy. They said that they want to see Princess Yunju and have something to hand to her personally. Oh. Yunting moved and entered the hall directly, looking at Lu Ping and Momo. Yunting stepped into the main hall, bringing with him an extremely strong pressure. It was as though there was a sharp edge everywhere in the hall and the atmosphere was oppressive. Lu Ping and Momo were a little uneasy and stood up instinctively. What is it? Hand it to me directly. Yunting raised his head slightly and said indifferently, I'll bring it to my sister. The 2 of you can return directly. End of chapter. Chapter 2450. Oh no, oh no. Lu Ping's face was pale as he sent a message to Momo. We are so unlucky to meet senior brother's nemesis. Lu Ping had originally planned to follow Su Zimo's instructions and mention his name when the situation was not good. But now, Lu Ping did not dare to mention Su Zimo's name after meeting Yunting County Prince. If Commandery Prince Yunting knew that they were sent by Su Zimo, he would have crippled them with a single strike of his sword. Lu Ping was about to remind Momo when Momo said, "My friend, my young master asked us to hand the item to Princess Yunju personally." Lu Ping's heart skipped a beat. Momo did not know Yunting's background, but he knew how terrifying Yunting was. Yunting could be said to be the best sword cultivator among the younger generation in the Nine Heavens Immortal Domain or even the Heaven Domain. Sword Dao was the ultimate killer. His achievements in Sword Dao made him a decisive killer. Who would dare to provoke or disobey him? Yunting raised his eyebrows slightly as a sharp light gathered in his eyes. He stared at Momo and said slowly, "Do you think you can meet my sister?" Tao Yao looked at Yunting with a serious expression, not backing down at all. Yunting looked impatient and said coldly, "I'll say it again. Either you hand the item to me or I'll send you on your way. My young master is Su Zimo." Momo seemed to have thought of something and said again, "Oh no." Lu Ping looked sad and sorrowful as he waited for the disaster to come. Su Zimo? Unexpectedly, Yunting frowned when he heard those three words. The sharpness in his eyes gradually dissipated, and the pressure that had enveloped the two of them also disappeared. Indeed, Yunting viewed Su Zimo as a lifelong enemy. However, he wanted to fight Su Zimo fair and square to see who was better. Back then, Yunting went to the Flaming Sun Immortal Kingdom and challenged Su Zimo. Outsiders thought that they were at loggerheads with each other. But in reality, there was no deep hatred between the two of them. In the depths of Yunting's heart, he respected Su Zimo greatly. Why did he give elder sister something? Yunting was confused, but he did not make things difficult for Momo and Lu Ping. He said, "The two of you follow me." He's actually all right? Lu Ping broke out in cold sweat, only to realize that it was just a false alarm. Momo's face was still calm. He was not aware of the danger he had just experienced. He only thought that he must complete the task Su Zimo entrusted to him. Yunting and Momo had a smooth journey, and no one dared to stop them. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the palace's library and enter a room in the library. "Sis?" Standing at the door, Yunting knocked and called out softly, "Come in." A gentle voice came from behind the door. Yunting entered the room with Momo. There was a woman in plain clothes sitting on a bamboo chair in the room. She held an ancient book in her hand and carefully read it without raising her head. Lu Ping looked at the woman curiously. Was this the book Immortal? The woman in plain clothes had her head lowered and her features could not be seen clearly. However, she exuded a unique aura that was intoxicating. "What's the matter?" Yunju did not raise her head, as though Yunting's appearance was not as important as the ancient book in her hands. Yunting said, "Two Dao children from Heaven and Earth Academy came looking for you. They said that Su Zimo has something and wants them to hand it to you personally." Yunju raised her head and looked in the direction of Momo and Lu Ping. Lu Ping's heart was instantly filled with amazement, but he quickly calmed himself down. Yunju swept her gaze across Lu Ping and landed on Momo's face. She paused for a moment and seemed to be deep in thought. "What is it? Hand it over." Yunju smiled gently. Momo was about to keep the green identity token in her storage bag when Yunju shook her head with a smile. She pointed to Momo's empty waist and said, "Hang it outside. This identity token doesn't look ugly, right?" "Yes, it does look pretty." Momo nodded vigorously and tied the identity token to her waist. "You guys can go back." Yunju said, "My words are all in the letter." Momo and Lu Ping took their leave. Yunting was confused and was about to go forward to ask about it when Yunju waved her hand and chased Yunting out of the room. With a bang, the door was closed. "She's my sister. She's turning her back on me," Yunting lamented before leaving resentfully. Chapter 2451. Heaven and Earth Academy. Su Zimo gripped the Bodhi seed and continued to comprehend the clear jade manual. He had to admit that the Bodhi seed was indeed extremely helpful to him in terms of comprehending the Tao. With the help of the Bodhi seed, the many obscure words and Tao techniques in the clear jade manual became much clearer. As expected of a forbidden secret manual. To think that there would be such changes after cultivating it to greater mastery. Su Zimo could not help but lament after comprehending the true essence of the Tao techniques in the clear jade manual. The 3 pure jade manuals focused on different directions of cultivation. Back in the mystic realm, Ying Tian had briefly mentioned that the Grand Pure One cultivated the spirit, the Prime Pure One cultivated the arts, and the Jade Pure One cultivated the body. The dermic formulations in the clear jade manual were indeed supreme techniques for body refinement. After cultivating it to greater mastery, one's flesh, blood, bones and organs would be filled with a green glow. If one could cultivate it to greater mastery, they would be able to use the clear jade manual as a foundation to condense an primordial body that was of the same cultivation realm as their own. This was different from his clone technique in the past. Be it the Qinglian true body, the Dragon Phoenix true body or Wu Dao's true body, they could cultivate on their own and possess their own essence, spirit, flesh, and blood. As for this primordial body, it was a clone condensed entirely from the Tao techniques in the clear jade manual. Among the Tao techniques of the human race, the most famous ones were the great 3-corpse technique of the fiend sex, the past, present and future of the Buddhist sex, and the supreme clone technique of the immortal sex, 3 pure ones with 1 breath. Right now, Su Zimo had obtained one of the 3 pure ones. The upper realm was vast and had many civilizations with thousands of Tao techniques. Be it the human race or other races, they all had some clone techniques that were passed down to this day. The reason why the clone techniques of the 3 pure ones were powerful and were known as the supreme of the immortal sex was because the clones condensed from the 3 pure ones were of the same cultivation realm as cultivators. That was an extremely important point. Most of the clones condensed from the clone techniques would have their cultivation realm reduced greatly and their combat strength would be greatly reduced as well. As for the clones condensed from the 3 pure ones, although their combat strength would be reduced as well, at the very least, they would be of the same cultivation realm. Moreover, the Jade Pure Jade Manual was a body refining technique. The primeval body that was formed would also become abnormally strong and fierce in close combat. Once he fought with someone and released this doppelganger technique, it was equivalent to 2 of him attacking the opponent together. Among those at the same level, who could withstand it? This primeval body could only be released with the help of the Pure Jade Book. Therefore, over the years, every time the 3 Purities Jade Booklet appeared, it would attract many geniuses to fight for it. With only the 3 pure Taoist arts and without the 3 pure Jade Booklet, he was unable to release the 3 pure avatars. More importantly, this was just a clone secret technique that was condensed from Taoist techniques. Even if the clone was destroyed in battle, it wouldn't matter. As long as the Jade Purity Jade Book was still there, he would be able to release the primeval body after a period of recovery. At this moment, the sound of clothes fluttering in the air came from outside the cave. Not long after, Momo and Lu Ping ran in excitedly. Lu Ping was even more excited as he winked at Su Zimo with a strange smile. Momo went forward and handed the storage bag to Su Zimo. Young master, the princess did not accept this storage bag. However, she replied with a letter inside. Su Zimo noticed that there was a green identity badge hanging on Momo's waist that emitted a faint fragrance. Young master, this was given to me by the beautiful princess. Can I carry it with me? Momo asked with anticipation. Of course. Su Zimo smiled and opened the storage bag, retrieving Yunju's letter. At a glance, Yunju's handwriting was elegant and her strokes were agile. Through the words, it was as though he could see a graceful figure dancing on the letter. However, Su Zimo's expression changed the moment he saw the first sentence and he broke out in cold sweat. Fellow Taoist Araki Takashi, I've heard about what happened in Langfeng City. You're quite impressive. I'm impressed. At the end of the sentence, there was a simple drawing of a woman's smiling face. For a moment, Su Zimo felt as though Yunju was sitting opposite him and looking at him with a fake smile. When Lu Ping saw Su Zimo's strange expression, he leaned over curiously and asked, "Senior brother, what's written on it? You don't look too good." Su Zimo's gaze swept across. Lu Ping shrank his neck in fear and retreated hurriedly. Su Zimo continued reading. The contents of the letter were much more normal and did not mention anything about Araki Takashi. It only briefly mentioned that they would try their best to search for Feng Zi and Lu Ping so that Su Zimo could rest assured. However, this matter might take a long time, so he was asked to wait patiently. Su Zimo read the letter and burned it. He looked at Momo and Lu Ping and asked, "Tell me what happened after the two of you arrived at the Xian Immortal Kingdom. Don't leave out any details." Momo and Lu Ping recounted the entire process in detail. Su Zimo did not say anything, but he muttered in his heart. Exposed just like that? Su Zimo guessed that Yunju must have seen through Momo and Lu Ping. However, it was a little too strong to be able to determine his relationship with Araki Takashi just based on this flaw. Fortunately, Yunju probably would not expose this matter, so it did not affect him much. After arranging the search for Feng Zi, Su Zimo finally settled down and prepared to cultivate in seclusion. The Heaven List battle of the Divine Firmament Immortal Association was about to begin. During the 10,000-year convention, Yun Ting was already a Stage 2 Heaven Immortal before he entered the Heaven Origin realm. All these years, his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. With Yun Ting's talent and fortuitous opportunities, his cultivation speed would definitely be faster than his. If he wanted to take the top spot on the Heaven List, his cultivation had to continue to improve. There were only 2,000 years left before the Divine Firmament Immortal Association began. Time was running out. During this seclusion, apart from continuing to improve his cultivation, Su Zimo also focused on the Jade Purity Jade Book. He wanted to cultivate it to greater mastery as soon as possible and condense the primordial body. Su Zimo was in seclusion in the cave abode's secret chamber. Due to Qinglian's real body, the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi in his cave abode was much denser than outside. It did not take long for Lu Ping to realize this. When cultivating in Su Zimo's cave abode, the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi was even denser than in the Legacy Land. This was a little scary. Lu Ping originally thought that it was some kind of array formation that Su Zimo had set up to gather the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi. However, it did not take long for him to realize that this kind of dense and pure Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi was definitely not condensed by any array formation. Lu Ping also realized that cultivating in this cave abode made his cultivation speed increase by leaps and bounds. Not only was the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi denser and purer, but there seemed to be some kind of mysterious power that affected everything. After Lu Ping discovered this secret, he vaguely realized that he could not mention this to anyone, so he secretly hid it. Su Zimo was the creation Qinglian, and both Lu Ping and Momo belonged to the plants category. Cultivating by Qinglian's side was naturally very beneficial. Chapter 2452. Cultivation was a long and arduous journey. After returning from the Jade Heaven Immortal Domain, Su Zimo did not leave the cave abode and spent most of his time cultivating in seclusion. In the cave abode, Momo and Lu Ping helped him deal with many chores. It also saved him a lot of energy and time. His cultivation realm was also increasing steadily. Finally, he broke through to Heavenly Origin Realm Level 6 on this day. Looking back, 1,000 years had already passed. All these years, there was no news about true immortal Zhangye and Feng Zi from Commandery Prince Qinqing or Yunju. The longer time passed, the slimmer the chances of finding the two of them. In other words, the chances of them being alive were getting smaller and smaller. Su Zimo stood up and walked around the cave abode. Momo and Lu Ping had gone out. He did not know what they were doing. In the spirit garden in the backyard of the cave abode, the Ashoka tree and immortal willow did not move much. Only the immortality peach seedling was growing and was much thicker than before. However, it took 10,000 years for the immortality peach tree to mature. It was still early. At this moment, two figures came from outside the cave abode. In the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of the cave abode and walked in side by side. It was Momo and Lu Ping. After 1,000 years, the two of them did not change much and still looked like children. The hair on Lu Ping's head gradually became soft and thick. His cultivation realm improved rapidly, and he had already broken through from the peak of Heavenly Origin Realm Level 2 to Heavenly Origin Realm Level 3. Before Momo came to Qianquan Academy, she was already a Level 9 Earth Immortal. Now, her cultivation realm was only slightly lower than Lu Ping. She had already cultivated to Heavenly Origin Realm Level 2. All these years, although Momo did not know many people in the academy, under Lu Ping's guidance, she was familiar with the environment of the academy and was no longer unfamiliar with it. Ever since Tao Yao had ascended, he had been enduring tremendous pain and torment for many years. This had caused great harm to his soul. All these years, she stayed by Su Zimo's side and had Lu Ping's company. The wounds on her soul were gradually healing and she was smiling more often. "Young master, look." Momo raised a scroll in her hand and handed it to Su Zimo. "What is this?" Su Zimo took the scroll and asked casually. Lu Ping said, "Senior brother, don't you know? Today is a big day in the Divine Firmament Celestial Realm. The Divine Firmament Palace has officially announced the Heaven List." Su Zimo looked at the scroll in his hand and slowly unfurled it. Rows of dazzling Taoist names were written on it. "Looks like this is the prediction of the Heaven ranking." Su Zimo smiled. He was no stranger to predicting the Heaven leaderboard. During the 10,000-year convention, the Flaming Sun Immortal Empire had announced the prediction of the Earth ranking in advance. It listed the information of many geniuses for reference. At the same time, Su Zimo was a little confused. He asked, "The Heaven List battle of the Divine Firmament Convention is still more than 1,000 years away. Why are they announcing the predicted rankings now?" "Senior brother, you've been in seclusion all year round. You're still not clear about the rules of the Heaven ranking tournament, right?" Lu Ping explained, "The Divine Firmament Immortal Association's Heaven Roll competition is not as troublesome as the Earth Roll competition. There's also an elimination system. During the Divine Firmament Convention, the Heaven List ranking battle will be held directly. Only cultivators who enter the predicted rankings will have the chance to participate in the ranking battle." Su Zimo asked, "What is the basis of this prediction ranking?" Lu Ping said, "The more basic is the cultivation level. If one's cultivation level is too low, people like us will definitely not be able to enter. There are also some personal trump cards, opportunities, and various other factors. A comprehensive judgment is obtained, which is the ranking on the prediction ranking. The most important is the past achievements." Su Zimo suddenly understood and said, "In other words, the remaining 1,000 years are the last chance for the many heaven immortals of the Divine Firmament Celestial Realm. Only those who enter the predicted rankings before the Divine Firmament Convention will have the chance to enter the final ranking battle and be ranked on the Heaven List." "That's right." Lu Ping said, "The 1,000 years before every Divine Firmament Immortal Convention is the busiest period of time in the Divine Firmament Immortal region. Countless prodigies and monsters among the Heaven Immortals will be born and leave the mountains to travel the world. During this period, the top geniuses will fight each other almost every year. The names and rankings on the prediction ranking will also be constantly changed." Su Zimo nodded secretly. For example, some geniuses who cultivated in seclusion all year round, although their cultivation level was extremely high and their combat strength was not weak, if they did not have any outstanding achievements, they would not be qualified to enter the prediction ranking list and would not have the chance to participate in the final Heaven List ranking battle. In other words, in the next 1,000 years, the top geniuses of the various heaven-grade factions in the Divine Firmament Celestial Realm would come out and roam the world. Su Zimo opened the prediction ranking list and browsed through it. He casually glanced and suddenly realized that Yun Ting's name was not at the top of the prediction ranking list, but third. Who could suppress Yun Ting? Name, Qin Gu. Cultivation level, Stage 9 Heaven Immortal. Identity, Reincarnated Immortal of the Mountain and Sea Immortal Sect, the only successor of the ancient Moon Mystic Realm, Thunder Divine Temple Master. Su Zimo was secretly speechless. Just the identity of a reincarnated celestial was extremely important. He did not expect that there were two more identities. He wondered what kind of opportunities he had obtained. Battle record: 70,000 years ago, as a Stage 7 Heaven Immortal, killed a Stage 9 Heaven Immortal, Xiang Lu. 60,000 years ago, as a Stage 8 Heaven Immortal, broke through the encirclement of 10 Heaven Immortals in the Jade Firmament Celestial Realm and killed 6 of them. 40,000 years ago, as a Stage 8 Heaven Immortal, fought against Zhong Feiyu and won. Evaluation: before being reincarnated, he was a top-tier true celestial. Because he failed to break through to the Grotto Heaven realm, he was forced to reincarnate. He rose to power and has never tasted defeat. He has inherited the true teachings of the Mountain and Sea Celestial Sect and has unparalleled combat strength. This person's battle record alone has more than 10 battles, and his evaluation is extremely high. Prediction: second on the heaven list. Name: Zhong Feiyu. Cultivation level: Stage 9 Heaven Immortal. Identity: reincarnated celestial of the Flying Celestial Sect, the number 1 Heaven Immortal of the Zhong family, the Island Master of the Pale Flame Island, the successor of the Scorched Earth Sect, and the young master of the Crimson Poison Sect. Su Zimo raised his eyebrows slightly. This person was also a reincarnated celestial, and he had even more identities and backgrounds that Su Zimo had never heard of. Moreover, this Zhong Feiyu had appeared once in Qin Gu's battle record. This person's battle record also has more than 10 battles. Other than the battle with Qin Gu, where he lost by a little, he won all the other battles and had been famous for many years. The Divine Firmament Palace also had a very high evaluation of him, and he was on par with Qin Gu. Su Zimo said, "It seems that Yun Ting is ranked 3rd, but he is suppressed by these 2 reincarnated celestials. It's not unfair." Lu Ping said, "The main reason why Yun Ting is ranked 3rd is that his cultivation level is currently at Stage 8 Heaven Immortal, which is slightly inferior. Also, Yun Ting is too young, and he is considered a rising demon in recent years. He has not been famous for long. If Yun Ting can break through to Stage 9 Heaven Immortal, he will most likely surpass the top 2 in the ranking." After pausing for a while, Lu Ping continued, "However, although Yun Ting is a Stage 8 Heaven Immortal, he is already very powerful, and he is above the other reincarnated celestial." Chapter 2453. Su Zimo looked past Yun Ting's information and focused on the 4th place on the prediction list. Name: Lai Xian. Realm: Stage 9 Heaven Immortal. Identity: reincarnated immortal from the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom. He did not have many identities, but he had dozens of victories and had never lost a single one. More importantly, the Divine Firmament Palace had a very high opinion of him. Before reincarnating, he was ranked 1st on the Heaven list and 2nd on the True Immortal list. Rumor has it that he has cultivated the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom's top cultivation technique to the peak. So far, no one has been able to force him to use his full strength. His battle prowess is unfathomable. Su Zimo had fought with reincarnated immortals before and knew how powerful they were. Compared to ordinary cultivators, their cultivation levels might be similar. However, reincarnated immortals had lived 2 lives and cultivated for 2 lifetimes. Their vision, experience, knowledge, judgment, and combat skills far surpassed ordinary cultivators. During the Earth List battle, although one of the 2 reincarnated immortals, Tai Hua and Feng Yin, had died and been injured, Su Zimo had not won easily. Moreover, he had been a Stage 8 Earth Immortal, only 1 stage away from the 2 reincarnated immortals. When facing reincarnated immortals, the difference in their cultivation levels was too great. There was almost no chance of winning. In fact, reincarnated immortals had always been invincible among their peers. During the Earth List battle, the 2 reincarnated immortals had been defeated by a junior one after another, which had shocked the entire Divine Firmament Celestial Realm. Su Zimo looked at the 4th place on the prediction list before looking at Yun Ting. Name: Yun Ting. Realm: Stage 8 Heaven Immortal, expected to reach Stage 9 before the Divine Firmament Convention. Identity: Duke of the Zishuan Celestial Kingdom, successor of the Extreme Sword Path, successor of the 5-Element Sword Path, successor of the 3-Talent Sword Path, successor of the 4-Symbol Sword Path, successor of the Heart Sword Path, successor of the Tempest Sword Path, successor of the Great Void Sword Path. Su Zimo's mouth twitched slightly. This person was indeed the number 1 sword path cultivator among the younger generation in the Heaven domain. There were more than 10 of these identities. One had to know that each identity represented a fortuitous encounter. What was even more frightening was that the inheritances Yun Ting obtained were all Sword Dao inheritances. This meant that whenever he encountered a fortuitous encounter, these Sword Dao predecessors and ancient inheritances would acknowledge his aptitude and choose him as their successor. Yun Ting's talent in the Sword Dao could be said to be unprecedented. Behind his identity was his battle record. "Oh, good fellow." Su Zimo glanced at it and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. The battle record was densely packed with over 10,000 words. It took up the most space on the prediction list. Over 100 battles, all of them won. After the battle results, Divine Firmament Palace's evaluation of him was even higher than the previous 2 reincarnated immortals. In it, there was a speculation that if Yun Ting were to break through to level 9 Heavenly Immortal, his battle prowess would be above Qin Gu, Zhong Feiyu, and Lai Xian. If he didn't make any mistakes during the Heaven Leaderboard competition, he would definitely become the top of the Heaven Leaderboard. Su Zimo smiled and did not comment. It had been many years since the last time they fought. He didn't have the confidence to face Yun Ting in his current state. Su Zimo continued reading. The top 10 on the prediction list were all successors of the 3 great celestial kingdoms and 4 great celestial sects. From this point, it could be seen that the 7 heaven-level forces of the Divine Firmament Celestial Realm were indeed worthy of their reputation. Su Zimo also saw a familiar name in the top 10. Fang Qingyun. He was also the only Heaven Immortal in Heaven and Earth Academy to enter the top 10. Su Zimo casually glanced at the information regarding Fang Qingyun. Compared to the top 4, Fang Qingyun's identity, battle record, and evaluation were nothing to write home about. There weren't many highlights, so it was not surprising that he was ranked 10th. Su Zimo pursed his lips and said, Fang Qingyun is known as the number 1 Heaven Immortal in the Academy, but his ranking on this prediction list is only average. Lu Ping knew about the feud between Fang Qingyun and Su Zimo. Back then, when Su Zimo was still in the outer sect, he had a conflict with some people led by Fang Qingyun. However, later on, Su Zimo created the 10th step of the Dao Heart Ladder and was accepted as an in-name disciple by the Patriarch of the Academy. His status skyrocketed, and there was no direct conflict between the two. Lu Ping did not know that Fang Qingyun was the one behind Yang Ruoxu's serious injury. Fang Qingyun even wanted to use Yang Ruoxu's injury to transfer Su Zimo out of Heaven and Earth Academy before killing him. However, that group of people was killed by Su Zimo. Even Tang Peng, who was under Fang Qingyun, died in Su Zimo's hands. Lu Ping thought for a moment and said, "This is only the prediction list. Senior brother Fang's Real ranking might be higher." Lu Ping actually wanted to remind Su Zimo that his cultivation realm was not high enough, and it was not suitable for him to have a conflict with Fang Qingyun. Su Zimo remained silent and roughly browsed through the entire list. Other than Yun Ting and Fang Qingyun, there were a few other familiar names on the list of the 100 people who were predicted to be chosen. Yan Bingying was known as the number 1 beauty of the inner sect of the Academy. She used to admire Fang Qingyun. It was said that over the years, the two of them gradually drifted apart and were not as close as before. Yan Bingying was ranked 43rd on the list and her combat strength was not weak either. 98th on the list, Commandery Prince Yunzhua. When Su Zimo saw that name, he sneered. Commandery Prince Yunzhua was indeed capable to be ranked on the list. "Young master, I've seen this list too." Momo suddenly spoke and said seriously, "I feel that this list is not accurate at all." "But?" Su Zimo asked with a smile. "Young master's name is not on it," Momo said matter-of-factly. Su Zimo could not help but laugh. Lu Ping rolled his eyes and said, "Taozi, you don't understand. Senior brother's cultivation speed is very fast, but this list is based on combat strength, battle achievements, and many other factors. Senior brother has just broken through to stage 6, how can he be ranked on this list? Momo frowned and said, why not? There are still 1,000 years to the Divine Firmament Convention. Even if senior brother obtains some great opportunity in the remaining 1,000 years and breaks through to stage 7, it will be very difficult for him to be ranked on this list. Lu Ping explained patiently, senior brother's cultivation level is too far apart. Look at Commandery Prince Yunting, he is only one stage away from stage 9, but he is already suppressed by 2 reincarnated immortals. Not to mention senior brother, even Commandery Prince Yunting would not be ranked on this list when he was a stage 6 heaven immortal. Moreover, senior brother does not have any famous battle achievements. Momo looked confused and said, didn't you tell me that young master defeated 2 reincarnated immortals in the 10,000-year convention and became the first on the Earth list? Lu Ping said, this is the Heaven List tournament. It does not look at the battle achievements of Earth immortals. The battle achievements on this list are all obtained by these prodigies after they have broken through to Heaven Immortal. At this point, Lu Ping suddenly felt that he was undermining his own prestige and hurriedly said, senior brother, I believe you. In another 100,000 years, in the next Heaven List tournament, you will definitely be able to enter the top 10. Su Zimo smiled and did not refute. End of chapter. Chapter 2454. Of course, Su Zimo would not wait another 100,000 years to participate in the next Heaven List battle. Just as Momo had said, there were still 1,000 years left before the Divine Firmament Immortal Gathering. Anything could happen. To him, it was not difficult to enter the Heaven Prediction Leaderboard. What he really had to face was Yun Ting, who might cultivate to the peak of Stage 9 Heaven Immortal in 1,000 years. That Sword Dao genius. That was his real opponent. And he was the strongest opponent he had encountered in the same cultivation level since he ascended to the upper world. At that moment, there was a commotion outside the cave abode. Someone had come to visit. In the cave abode, there was a corresponding projection crystal ball that could see the situation outside the cave abode. It was clear who was outside. Su Zimo took a look and retracted his gaze, remaining calm. It was senior sister Mo Qing again. Momo and Lu Ping saw that the person outside was Mo Qing. Their expressions were calm and they were not surprised. The two of them subconsciously looked at Su Zimo. Su Zimo did not say a word and only nodded. The 2 Dao children looked at each other and understood in their hearts. Lu Ping shrugged helplessly and walked out of the cave abode with Momo. Su Zimo was still sitting in the cave abode and had no intention of going out to welcome her. All these years, senior sister Mo Qing had come to visit him almost every 100 years. Ever since Su Zimo realized that senior sister Mo Qing might have some special feelings for Wu Dao's main body, he did not dare to meet her face to face and avoided her. Therefore, all these years, he hid in the cave abode and rarely went out. Every time senior sister Mo Qing came to visit, he would ask Momo and Lu Ping to go out and find an excuse to deal with it. He would avoid meeting her. With senior sister Mo Qing's personality, she naturally would not barge into his cave abode. All these years, even Momo and Lu Ping were somewhat used to it. Therefore, they were not surprised to see Mo Qing visit. Su Zimo's idea was very simple. After dealing with her like this a few times, senior sister Mo Qing would definitely be able to sense his distance. As time passed, she would naturally stop interacting with him. Before long, Momo and Lu Ping returned to the cave abode. Senior sister Mo Qing has already left. Lu Ping said, yes. Su Zimo answered casually. Lu Ping blinked and said tentatively, senior brother, I think senior sister Mo Qing is a little angry this time. Really? Su Zimo's eyes lit up. He let out a long sigh of relief. That's great. Since senior sister Mo Qing was angry, she definitely wouldn't come looking for him again. Looking at the surprised Su Zimo, Lu Ping was dumbfounded. His jaw almost dropped to the ground. What exactly was senior brother thinking in his head? Su Zimo noticed the strange look in Lu Ping's eyes and immediately realized that he had lost his composure. He coughed softly and muttered, "What a pity." Lu Ping rolled his eyes and pulled Momo to the backyard of the cave abode to look at the 3 immortal trees. When they arrived at the backyard of the cave abode, Lu Ping said softly, "Taozi, I think senior brother might have done something wrong to senior sister Mo Qing. That's why he has been avoiding her." "What do you mean?" Momo was confused. Lu Ping said, "Something like abandoning her and changing sides. Do you still remember Zi Xian Immortal Kingdom's Princess Yun Zhu, the book Immortal?" "I remember." Momo nodded. Lu Ping's eyes burned with the flames of gossip. He said, "I feel that something must have happened between senior brother and book Immortal Yun Zhu and senior sister Mo Qing." 3 days later, someone came to visit the cave abode again. This time, it was Princess Qi Hong alone. Yang Ruoxu was not accompanying her. Su Zimo went out and welcomed Princess Qi Hong in. Not long after Su Zimo and Princess Qi Hong entered the cave abode, a snow-white butterfly suddenly flew out from a patch of cherry blossoms not far away. This butterfly was hidden here. The color of its body was almost one with the cherry blossoms. It was impossible to tell them apart. The snow-white butterfly rushed toward Su Zimo's cave abode and snorted. Then, it sped towards the core area of the academy. In the cave abode, Princess Qi Hong had just sat down when she said, "Senior brother Su, brother Qingqing has found true immortal Zangye and Feng Zi." Su Zimo was shocked and hurriedly asked, "Where are they? Are they dead or alive?" "Both of them are still alive. They are near Green Cloud Mountain." Princess Qi Hong hesitated for a while and said, "However, true immortal Zangye seems to be seriously injured and is not in a good condition. Feng Zi is taking care of him." Green Cloud Mountain. Su Zimo immediately took out the map of the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain and found the location of Green Cloud Mountain. Green Cloud Mountain was not within the territory of the 3 major celestial kingdoms and the 4 major celestial sects. It was a wild and uninhabited land. "Please help me thank Brother Qingqing. When I have time, I will personally visit him to thank him." Su Zimo was worried about Feng Zi and true immortal Zangye's safety. He put away the map and prepared to leave for Green Cloud Mountain immediately. "Don't be in such a hurry. Let me finish." Princess Qi Hong hurriedly stopped Su Zimo and said in a low voice, "Brother Qingqing knows Feng Zi and true immortal Zangye's methods, so he did not dare to go near them and only watched from afar. Brother Qingqing also discovered that other than him, the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom's executioner guards also have their eyes on Feng Zi and true immortal Zangye." Su Zimo narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "If true immortal Zangye is seriously injured, there must be a perfected immortal expert involved." "That's right," Princess Qi Hong said. "That's why I asked you to wait and not act rashly. You know Brother Qingqing's side. He's just an ordinary duke. He doesn't have any perfected immortal expert protecting him, and he can't mobilize the perfected immortal experts of the Flaming Sun Celestial Kingdom. He definitely won't be able to stop the perfected immortal experts of the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom. Ruoxu already knows about this. He's gathering people in the core area of the academy. He'll try to find a few more core disciples to accompany him. We'll go together. Even if we encounter the perfected immortal experts of the Great Jin Celestial Kingdom, we'll have a better chance of saving them." Su Zimo took a deep breath and gradually calmed himself down. There were too many variables in this matter. He couldn't handle it with just his strength. Princess Qi Hong suddenly sighed softly and said, "Ruoxu just entered the core area, so he doesn't know many core disciples. He might not be able to gather many people." Actually, this was normal. Yang Ruoxu had just entered the true first realm, and his cultivation was still at the consolidation stage. He belonged to the lowest level of the true first realm. Most of the core disciples he knew were at the same level. Moreover, there were some unexplainable grudges between Yang Ruoxu and the Moonlight Sword Immortal. Many core disciples stayed away from them. Moreover, this was Su Zimo's matter. Apart from Yang Ruoxu, the other core disciples had never interacted with Su Zimo before. They were strangers to him. Feng Zi and the Sword Immortal were complete strangers to the core disciples of the academy. They had no relationship with them at all. If it wasn't necessary, who would go as far as the Ash Cloud Mountain to help two complete strangers? At this moment, Princess Chi Hong's expression changed. She took out a communication jade talisman from her storage bag and stood up. Ruoxu is ready. Let's go. We'll gather at the gates of the academy. End of chapter. Chapter 2455. Let's go too. Lu Ping took the initiative to step forward, wanting to follow Su Zimo. No. Su Zimo rejected without even thinking and said in a low voice, "The two of you stay in the academy. You're not allowed to go anywhere." Their cultivation levels were not high, so it was useless even if they followed. Moreover, Su Zimo did not want to put Momo in danger again. In the divine firmament immortal realm, there was probably no place safer than Heaven and Earth Academy. Young Master. Momo looked a little worried and wanted to say something but stopped. Princess Chi Hong comforted them. Don't worry. This time, with Ruoxu and the other core disciples of the academy, there won't be any danger. This was not Princess Chi Hong being arrogant or being blindly confident. As one of the 7 heaven-level factions, Heaven and Earth Academy's core disciples could do whatever they wanted in the divine firmament immortal realm, but no one dared to provoke them. Unless there was some deep enmity, the core disciples of the academy rarely had conflicts with the other heaven-level factions. Moreover, even if there was a fight, everyone would rely on their own abilities. There would not be any immortal kings coming forward to suppress the other party. After all, the heaven-level factions all had immortal kings behind them. If one side took the initiative to break the balance, it would be very easy for the situation to escalate or even go out of control and evolve into a battle between immortal kings. That would not be beneficial to either side, and the gains would not make up for the losses. For example, on Heaven and Earth Academy's side, there was the Academy Patriarch holding down the fort and taking every possibility into account. It was naturally not good for the Academy Patriarch to intervene in a battle between peers of the same cultivation level. However, if an immortal king attacked the core disciples of the Academy, it would be very difficult to hide from the Academy Patriarch's detection. Let's go. Su Zimo said and led the way out. Unless it was necessary, he would not disturb Wu Dao's main body if he could not resolve the situation. The two true bodies cultivated separately, and each person's fortuitous opportunities and Dao techniques were different. If he had to disturb Wu Dao's main body for everything, then his Qinglian true body would not need to cultivate. Furthermore, if the two true bodies frequently appeared in the same place, it would definitely arouse suspicion. 1,000 years ago, Wu Dao's main body had only gone to the Jade Firmament Immortal region to cause a ruckus, and the Book Immortal, Yun Zhu, had seen through his disguise. If this happened a few more times, even a simple-minded person like Senior Sister Mo Qing would notice that there was something wrong between the two of them. Not long later, Su Zimo and Chi Hong Infanta arrived in front of the Academy's mountain gate. Yang Ruoxu and the 3 true disciples were already waiting at the mountain gate. Yang Ruoxu took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "Let me introduce them. These 3 are True Immortal Tranquil, True Immortal Floating Light, and Hua Qingtian. The 3 of them are senior brothers from the place of inheritance." Their auras were similar to Yang Ruoxu's. If he was not mistaken, the 3 of them should be true immortals of the Unity stage. Su Zimo didn't think too much about it. Anyway, the 3 senior brothers of the academy were willing to help him, which was already a great favor for him. "I am Su Zimo. Greetings, senior brothers." Su Zimo hurried forward and bowed. Even though he was an in-name disciple of the Patriarch of the Academy, he had not officially joined the sect and his status was below that of a true disciple. Hua Qingtian and the other 2 sized up Su Zimo from head to toe with a scrutinizing gaze. "You're Su Zimo?" True Immortal Tranquil said mysteriously, "You've been in the limelight in the Academy all these years." Condensing the 10th step of the Tao Heart Staircase, alarming the 9 elders and even the Patriarch of the Academy personally to take him in as an in-name disciple, that incident caused Su Zimo's reputation to soar in the Academy. Many disciples of the academy had never seen him before, but they had all heard of his name. I wouldn't dare, Su Zimo replied cautiously. Yang Ruoxu said, let's go now. Don't be too late in case something goes wrong. There's no hurry, Hua Qingtan shook his head. Before we go, we have to settle some things first. What do you mean? Yang Ruoxu asked with a frown. Hua Qingtian said, let's not beat around the bush and get straight to the point. It's fine if you want the three of us to help. We don't want much, just a worryless fruit each. Yang Ruoxu's expression changed as he frowned and asked, Senior brothers, what do you mean by this? Perfected Immortal Floating Light smiled. Junior brother Yang, we don't have much of a relationship with Su Zimo. We're merely fellow disciples, so it's not too much to ask for some compensation, right? I've already agreed to give you guys a sufficient amount of essence spirit stones as compensation at the inheritance ground, and you guys agreed to it as well. Yang Ruoxu suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a deep voice, now that we're about to set off, you guys are asking for worryless fruits. Aren't you guys too greedy? Junior brother Yang, watch your words. Hua Qingtian's expression turned cold. Everyone in the academy knows that you're not on good terms with senior brother Yuehua. The three of us are already taking a huge risk to help you. It's only right for us to ask for more compensation. That's right. Perfected Immortal Floating Light said, furthermore, this trip is definitely not simple and might be dangerous. Otherwise, you could have done it alone. Why would you need the three of us? Perfected Immortal Tranquil looked at Su Zimo and chuckled. Junior brother Su, what we want isn't too much. You must have more on you since you used the worryless fruit to save junior brother Yang back then. Princess Qi Hong was an inner sect disciple after all. Although she was indignant, she could not say anything and merely cursed internally for being shameless with a cold expression. Suddenly, Su Zimo smiled and nodded, not hiding anything. Indeed, I have more worryless fruits with me. The eyes of Hua Qingtian and the other two lit up. However, Su Zimo changed the topic and sneered, however, I'm not going to give them to you guys. The expressions of Hua Qingtan and the other two darkened. Yang Ruoxu took a step forward and stood opposite Hua Qingtian and the other two, shouting, that's right, we can't compromise on this matter. Brother Su, don't worry. I don't believe that I can't save someone by myself. Actually, it was not that Su Zimo could not bear to part with the worryless fruit. However, he was disgusted by the greedy faces of Hua Qingtian and the other two. Even if he were to give them the worryless fruit now, the three of them would definitely ask for more when they arrived. Perfected Immortal Tranquil scoffed coldly. Junior brother Yang, you're merely a consolidation perfected immortal. Do you really think that you can fight against an entire army? Hua Qingnan glared at Su Zimo coldly and threatened once more, Su Zimo, don't blame us for not giving you a chance. At that time, it'll be too late for you to regret if you can't save anyone. Su Zimo, you're finally out of seclusion. Right then, a woman's voice sounded from not far away with a hint of coldness and anger. Everyone turned towards the voice and saw a peerless beauty walking through the air like a fairy that had walked out of a painting. It was none other than painting immortal Mo Qing. When Su Zimo caught sight of senior sister Mo Qing, he panicked and avoided her gaze. It was rare for Hua Qingtian and the other two to see fairy Mo Qing in the core inheritance grounds. However, they were both surprised and delighted to see her today. At the same time, the three of them could sense fairy Mo Qing's suppressed anger and could not help but snicker secretly, gloating over Su Zimo's misfortune. Su Zimo had offended senior sister Mo Qing. He was in for it. Yang Ruoxu and the Scarlet Infanta looked at each other worriedly. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qing arrived before Su Zimo and glared at Su Zimo furiously. Gritting her teeth, she clenched her fists and questioned, why have you avoided me all these years? When the spectators heard that, they were all dumbfounded. Chapter 2456. Wait a minute? What's going on? Hua Qingtian and the other two were dumbfounded and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Senior apprentice sister Mo Qing did indeed look very angry, but this kind of tone, Coupled with the words just now, no matter how one listened to it, there was a trace of hidden bitterness. Painting immortal Mo Qing, one of the four great fairies, was obsessed with the Tao of painting and had an indifferent personality. In the hearts of everyone, she was a high and mighty fairy who was untainted by the mortal world. Why would she reveal such an attitude? To Hua Qingtian and the others, such an attitude was even more moving. Originally, the painting immortal could only be admired from afar and could not be touched. But now, senior sister Mo Qing seemed to have descended into the mortal world and was by their side, becoming much more real. What was Su Zimo trying to do? Senior sister Mo Qing came to visit and he purposely avoided her? If it was anyone else, they would be so agitated that they would not be able to sleep for a few days. But soon, Hua Qingtian and the other two thought of a possibility. Everyone in the academy knew that senior brother Yuehua had admired senior sister Mo Qing for a long time. This Su Zimo must be afraid of senior brother Yuehua's reputation, which was why he avoided senior sister Mo Qing. At that thought, Hua Qingtian and the other two could not help but lament in their hearts. Su Zimo is rather smart. If he gets too close to senior sister Mo Qing, he will definitely end up in a terrible state. Yang Ruoxu and Princess Qi Hong had strange expressions as well. The two of them exchanged glances. Although they did not say anything, they could read each other's minds and understood the message in each other's eyes. Ruoxu, senior brother Su and senior sister Mo Qing seem to. I just realized that during the immortal sect selection, when senior apprentice sister Mo Qing attacked me twice, it wasn't for me, but for brother Su. Now that you mention it, it makes sense. This misunderstanding caused me to be hated by senior brother Yuehua for so long for no reason. Even now, senior brother Yuehua does not have a good expression when he sees me. If senior brother Yuehua knew that he hated the wrong person, he would probably explode in anger, hehe. At that thought, the two of them secretly worried for Su Zimo. Although Su Zimo was a registered disciple, his battle prowess was far inferior to the Moonlight Sword Immortals. Furthermore, the Moonlight Sword Immortal had cultivated in the Qingquan Academy for many years. The fame and power she had accumulated was far from what Su Zimo could compare to. Because of Fairy Mo Qing's words, the entire scene fell into a strange silence. It was as if time had stopped. Yang Ruoxu coughed and broke the silence. Is there a misunderstanding here? Su Zimo reacted and hurriedly explained. Senior sister Mo Qing, I'm really sorry. I've been in seclusion all these years to cultivate a secret technique. I couldn't stop it. I didn't mean to hide. As soon as Mo Qing said that, she realized that she had lost her composure. Actually, at the beginning, when she went to look for Su Zimo to no avail, she didn't think much of it. He thought that Su Zimo was cultivating in seclusion and could not be distracted. However, after being rejected 7 or 8 times in a row, no matter how pure her thoughts were, she had already reacted. She couldn't help but feel annoyed. She had originally planned to ignore Su Zimo in the future. However, many times, the more she thought about it, the angrier she became. She couldn't calm down, so she went to look for Su Zimo again and wanted to ask him face to face. 3 days ago, after being rejected again, she deliberately left the ice butterfly near Su Zimo's cave abode to secretly observe. As expected, 3 days later, when Princess Qi Hong came to visit, Su Zimo came out personally to welcome her. Mo Qing had endured for more than 1,000 years. Now that she had finally caught Su Zimo, she naturally had to come and ask him clearly. When she asked, she realized that there were outsiders around. Her reaction was a little too extreme, and she immediately regretted it. Although she knew that Su Zimo's explanation was still perfunctory, she didn't say anything else. You're lying. Unexpectedly, the ice butterfly on Mo Qing's shoulder suddenly spoke in human language. I saw it all. After rejecting us, you came out to welcome someone else 3 days later. Su Zimo's mouth twitched. He resisted the urge to go forward and crush the butterfly. Smiling awkwardly, he said, "What a coincidence. I just came out of seclusion, Fufu." The ice butterfly wanted to continue asking to help Mo Qing vent her anger. However, Mo Qing said, "Little butterfly, that's enough. We'll talk about this in the future. Seeing that Emo Ching gave up on asking, Su Zimo was relieved and wiped his sweat secretly. Where are you guys going? Emo Ching asked indifferently. At the mention of that, Su Zimo's expression turned solemn and he said in a deep voice, I have 2 old friends who are in danger and I'm preparing to rescue them. At that point, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. If he could get senior sister Emo Ching to help, it would be 100 times better than Hua Qingtian and the other 2. Hua Qingtian and the other 2 were only true immortals at the consolidation stage. Senior sister Emo Ching had already cultivated to the Kongming stage. Consolidation stage, heavenly being, Kongming stage, Dongshu stage. Senior sister Emo Ching was only a step away from the Dongshu stage. At that thought, Su Zimo asked, Senior sister Emo Ching, I wonder if you're free. Why don't you come with us to take a look? Emo Ching did not reply. She only looked at Su Zimo quietly with a faint smile. That gaze caused Su Zimo to feel flustered. The ice butterfly harumphed and said proudly, No, we're not free. We still have to cultivate in seclusion. We can't be distracted. Hua Qinan laughed coldly and mocked. Junior brother Su, you've been purposely avoiding senior sister Emo Ching all these years. Now that you're in trouble, you're begging for help. Aren't you too shameless? You said that we're shameless. I think you're the one who's truly shameless. Su Zimo shrugged. This time he did not refute. In fact, he had already regretted asking this question the moment he finished it. What has it got to do with you? Emo Ching suddenly spoke and looked at Hua Qingtian coldly. Hua Qingtian's expression froze. He was stunned by Emo Ching's words and did not know what to say for a moment. Emo Ching ignored him and took out a pleasure boat from her storage bag. She turned to Su Zimo and said, Get on. The pleasure boat expanded rapidly in midair and turned into a spirit boat. It emitted a faint fragrance that was intoxicating. Thank you, senior sister. Su Zimo was overjoyed. He thanked her hurriedly and boarded the exquisite spirit boat. Brother Yang, Princess Chi Hong, come on too. Su Zimo turned back and saw that Yang Ruoxu and Princess Chi Hong were still rooted to the ground. He greeted them instinctively. Yang Ruoxu was hesitant. Su Zimo did not know the reason. However, he knew that Emo Ching's pleasure boat was not something that anyone could board. As of now, even the Moonlight Sword Immortal did not have a chance. Come on. I'll control the boat and it'll be faster. Emo Ching did not look at Yang Ruoxu and Princess Chi Hong as she said indifferently. Yang Ruoxu and Princess Chi Hong exchanged glances and heaved a sigh of relief. They leaped at the same time and boarded the pleasure boat. The pleasure boat turned into a divine light and disappeared from the gates of Heaven and Earth Academy in the blink of an eye. Hua Qingtian and the other 2 were left in a mess in the wind. They sniffed the fragrance of the pleasure boat with envious expressions. End of chapter 1. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.